Hey, what's going on? I'm Keith here from Sports Vibes TV, and as always, I'm joined by our NBA analyst and our co-host here on Sports Vibes TV, Stephen Fox. Foxy, how's everything with you?
I'm not so good, but shout out to you, shout out to the chat, shout out to the SC Nation. That was a tough game to watch, and Jets at the end of the game. Everything's ripping my heart out today. The Giants, Jones, everybody. It's not a good day for New York sports fans.
Yeah, not a great day for New York sports fans whatsoever. You know, the Giants were pretty competitive in the first half, but then in the second half, things started to, unravel. And we're dealing with a whole bunch of injuries over there with the Giants. So that's extremely unfortunate. Hopefully, they'll be able to figure it out. But the Knicks really didn't do me any favors following it up. Now, in the first half, it was similar to the Giants story. We were pretty competitive to start. But then in the third quarter, things just kind of completely unraveled. So we'll get into it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate the support. We know you have a bunch of options here post game, but you're here with us, so we greatly appreciate it. Just want to give a shout out to a few people. We've got John Talento in chat. Thank you for tuning in. Evan Best, Geraldine McGyver, Splashing 12676, Angel Torres. Thank you all for the support. We really appreciate it. And we've got a lot to discuss aside from the game. So, Foxy, what were some of the things that kind of jumped out to you in that third quarter? Because I think the third quarter is really where this thing started to unravel. And I think if you look at some of the defense that we played out there, and also the rebounding effort or lack thereof, is really what ended up costing us the game. So what were some of the things that jumped out to you?
I'm going to keep it positive. Grimes. I thought Grimes looked great. I thought he, especially like you said in the first half, he looked like he had that first step. He looked like he was, really had a nice burst. I think he had a career high in assists. He was 10-5-8 today, so 10 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. And you and I were talking during the game. A couple times he looked winded, but I couldn't ask any more from him. Brunson had a strong game, and that's pretty much where it stops. You and I were talking the game about the lack of effort on Julius on defense. It was brutal. I mean, brutal. RJ, there's just, it's like they were walking around with no energy. This was like we talk about all the time, as long as you leave it on the floor, if you lose the game, you could deal with it. But this type of effort, come on, man, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, so anything stuck out to you in that third quarter? Because we did see Jalen Brunson. He was able to cook. How many points did he have? I think he had 11
20,
in that third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like nobody else. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it was Booker going off in that third quarter on, that pick and roll, that high pick and roll. He was just killing us.
Yeah, he was definitely killing us. We didn't have an answer. And I was watching, and earlier on in that game, I was saying, we're giving up a bunch of open looks, or not wide open looks, but there were some good quality looks that the Suns were able to get in that first half. Fortunately for us, they weren't able to knock them down. But, I mean, in that second half, that's definitely when they started to percolate and really get that three ball going. And it was a committee for the most part. It wasn't just Booker. He did go off, but there were also some guys out there that was able to knock down the three. One of them, Torrey Craig, he was solid, and also the guy that Julius Randle was guarding. And we'll talk about Julius Randle in depth because there are some positives to discuss when it comes to him. Well, it's a positive to me. I'm not sure if it's a positive to Julius Randle, but that'll be up for debate, but we'll get into it. So just wanted to dive into the chat. Let's see. Connor Toolin says, I'm sick of Tibbs. He also says that Randle was awful. Yeah, he was not great. And this is also coming off the heels when we're hearing that maybe teams around the league might be a little bit more interested in pursuing a trade. So hopefully he'll be able to get back to the Julius Randle we saw in the previous game, where he was giving 100% effort, and he was really the major catalyst in us winning the game. Oh, that was 2 games ago. I apologize.
Feels like a lifetime, I know.
Yeah, right? Splashing 12676 says Randle doesn't want to be here. He can't wait until a trade happens. Well, he's going to have to pick up his play then, because the better he plays, the more likely is he'll be shipped out of town. It's going to be hard for us to move him if he's continuing to give us lackluster effort on defense. Also, we have a very generous super chat from James E. Moore. We really appreciate it. Help keep the lights on. Says, I hear Tibbs screaming all game with zero reaction on the court. He's lost his team, zero adjustments and energy. Sick. Totally agree with you there, James. Not really too many adjustments made. I mean, we did see a bit of an adjustment. I will give Tibbs some credit. Initially, it was supposed to be a two-man tandem at the center spot, but iHeart really wasn't giving us much of anything out there on the court. So Tibbs did make the change and put Jericho Sims in. So I'll give him some credit for that. But outside of that, when you see this team start to reel, there's not really many adjustments given up by or made by Tom Thibodeau. And that's one of the reasons we've been trying to, encourage the New York Knicks to try and find a new head coach, or at least bring another voice into the locker room. Foxy, anything you want to say about the Super Chat?
No, thank you again for your generosity. But yeah, we talk this about all the time, but we don't see him give him the hook. There was several times I'm like, take Randle out, take RJ out, and nothing happens. And you're like, uh-oh, this is going to go south. And as a team, you can't shoot 28% in this league. You know, the difference, they made 17 threes, we made 7. That's 30 point. You don't win, you can't win in the NBA with a 30-point differential like that. You know, and especially RJ can't make a basket by can't buy a bucket right next to the rim. You know,
crazy, he can't buy a bucket too. He just signed a new deal. He got plenty of cash flow in the issue.
Yeah, and I'm running out of patience with iHeart. You know, especially when we see Sims. Let Jericho Sims have these minutes. This guy, meaning iHeart, can't defend for anything. He makes stupid fouls. He still doesn't know what the hell he's doing on pick and rolls. Our best pick and roll defender is Sims.
Sims, easily.
So it's like, why isn't he getting minutes? I'd rather him foul out and get more significant development time than giving this bum. I don't mean anything, but he's just, we've been saying all along, he's a backup center who can't cover the perimeter. Give those minutes to Sims, you know, and my God, Mitch, he was out, 16 days? It looked like he was coming back from the injury a year ago, and he put on 70 pounds. His timing, he looked ancient. He looked slow. I'm like, why is he even in there? Then let him get his conditioning back before you put him in a game. He looked terrible, and Aiden's the wrong guy to put him in against. But he had a great game against him last year. Well, he's not in the same condition he is this year.
Yeah, definitely Mitch has to work himself back. But I'm not too upset with Mitch getting in there. He's the starting center, and I think he's still the best option for us. So he's going to have to get involved in the game just to get back up to game speed. So me, not too concerned. It's more so with the poor performance of iHeart when he's out there, because if he's not playing poor defense or, you know, missing some threes, he's been shooting terribly for the season. He's also out there committing fouls, and it's putting us in bad positions. It's messing up our flow offensively. And I think that's something that he's going to have to work on if Tibbs is going to trust him to go out there and get any type of meaningful minutes, especially seeing how Jericho Sims has been coming along. So I'm going to put the stats for the game up on screen that way everybody can see. And we'll just run through the players. You can see Julius Randle for the game. He was a 4-11 from the field, which is good for 36.4%. 1 of 4 from the three-point line, which is good for 25%. And for the game, he had 9 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 turnovers. So not a great performance from Julius Randle. And we started to see, you know, once again, this is that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde scenario that we've seen from last season, where game to game, we don't know what type of player we're going to get from Julius Randle. And it's extremely hard to put together solid wins and solid games back to back to back when you don't know what one of your best players is going to give to you, night in and night out. And then that's you kind of add insult to injury when it's not only Julius Randle that's being inconsistent, it's RJ Barrett. Well, I can't even say inconsistent, because right now RJ Barrett has consistently been terrible. He's consistently been terrible. It's one step even further to the bad side, because today he was 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, 12 points, only 2 assists and 4 rebounds, and he's continuing to shoot us out of games at times. There was moments where he had 2 gimmies under the basket, completely blew him. It's going to be hard for the Knicks to put together a win if we have those guys both playing poorly offensively and defensively.
And he had another several shots blocked, so he's on a trajectory to have over 115 shots blocked this year. Jesus, man, I think the new nickname is the Sloth, the Turtle. Anything, the guy is the slowest dude. I swear to God, man, he can't get off the ground. I think he has a 3-inch vertical. It's crazy.
You're talking about blocks. There was one stretch where RJ got blocked in embarrassing fashion, and then Ihart followed it up, and he got his shot swatted to the other side of the court as well. So to me, that was a bad play. You look at what these guys were able to do out there on the third, and it was not impressive. The only one, like I said, impressed was Jalen Brunson, who actually had it going on. So you look further along the box score. You mentioned Quentin Grimes, who was solid. He ended up only shooting 4 or 10 from the field, but to start, he was on fire. I think, what was he, 3 and 5 in his first 5 shots. 1 of 5 from the 3-point line, 1 or 2 from the charity stripe, and for the game, he had 10 points, 8 assists. You mentioned a career high, and he had 3 rebounds. So I think he was great defensively, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later on in the show, kind of compare him and Cam to see who should be starting moving forward. But Quentin definitely put out his best foot. He put his best foot forward in this game. Defensively, he made it a terror for Devin Booker, especially in that first half. Booker was unable to get it going in that first half. He started to figure it out in the second half, but in that first half, Grimes was showing some of the promise that made the front office say that we're not going to include you in any trade talks. So if he can continue to show that type of effort and that type of energy, he's going to make Tibbs have to make a tough decision once Cam Reddish gets healthy as to who is going to start. But we'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball and see what SV Nation thinks about it. So, Foxy, anything you want to add about Grimes' performance tonight?
No, hey, I don't mind. He's shooting off. He's trying to get the rust off of him. But the other things he was doing, that coast-to-coast layup, and we're seeing new things to his game. Like we said, the assists, that beautiful assist. I think it was to Mitch and a few other things. He had a nice midi.
Yeah.
So we're seeing things. So, hey, I think he had 9 points in the first half, Booker. So he was doing a wonderful job. But the second half, how many uncontested shots, did you see? It was mind-boggling.
Yeah, I was actually in the group text with George and JD, and I was saying it. We're giving up uncontested threes, and when we're not giving them uncontested threes, we're fouling jump shooters. And that is not going to be a recipe to get a win. I forgot. RJ, I think, fouled one. Mitch fouled one, and I forgot who fouled the third jump shooter.
Yeah, I said to myself, Jesus, hey, fellows, you make a lot of money. $10,000 to give to your favorite charity every time you foul somebody with a 3-point. Wally was saying, is this the 4th one that we've had in this game? What the hell what is wrong with you? Mitch, it was just, we watched the game while me and the SV Nation, you want to level, intellect, and what the hell are you doing? These fouls where you're jumping. If I see Obi, his closeout, he's regressed defensively, man. I mean, all you see him is flying through the air. His closeout defense is atrocious. He looks out of sync. IQ looks out of sync since the thing came out that teams are inquiring about him. He looks like well, offensively, but not defensively. It looks like somebody pulled the battery pack out of his back, man. He looks like a different player, like get me out of here, or why are they doing this to me? Whatever. They're just terribly out of sync, man.
Yeah, speaking of
the reality of this team, it's more like this is the reality of this team.
Yeah, speaking of Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin, let's run through their stats real quick. Quick was 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe, which is solid. And then what happened?
No, just the way you said that. Go IQ. You made 4 foul shots, man. All right. Yo, I'm telling you, man. That's something.
Listen, man, we got to grasp for the positives right now. We got to grasp for the positives. He had 6 points. How many rebounds is this? 1 rebound and 2 assists. So not a great performance offensively. Hopefully you guys can hear me too. Every time I turn around, I'm away from the mic. I got to work on my mic position and pause. Obi, he was 0-4 from the field, 0-2 from the 3-point line. No points, which is unfortunate, especially seeing that, Julius Randle hasn't been playing great or giving the best effort. And we want to find reasons to give Obi some additional time, but
you can't go up soft. He keeps going up soft in recent games, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't play soft. And also, you can't play the way he's been playing offensively with the 0 for 4, 0 for 2 and try to take out somebody like Julius Randle, who for the most part has been one of the motors offensively. So if Obi Toppin is going to want to really start to wrangle some playing time away from Julius Randle, he's going to have to be better offensively, and I think defensively he's going to have to learn how to stay on his feet when he closes out. I think that's one issue we see from Obi, and we also see it from Cam too, who Cam, one of the better defenders, but we see time and time again when they go to close out, they're easily pump faked and puts them out of position.
Yeah, I was talking to George last game, and before he left with the groin injury, he was like, Cam is playing this is terrible on defense. I mean, terrible. He had a really bad defensive game the last game before he got injured. So it's like, come on, guys, man. Defense should be the constant. The shot going in, you may have off games, but you should never have an off game on defense, ever.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on. I was also pleasantly surprised the fact that we had a Deuce sighting, and it wasn't just in garbage minutes either. And Deuce was pretty solid. He was 4-6 from the field, 1 or 2 from the 3-point line, which is good for 9 points. And then he also had 1 steal. So definitely, he also had a nice dime too. Well, it wasn't technically a dime because they didn't finish, but it was a good pass from Deuce. So what were some of the things you saw from Deuce?
Was that the play I Heart got blocked?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was like Bigfoot getting blocked, but Deuce. Hey, D Rose looks like he hurt his big toe.
Yeah,
that looks like it's whether it's turf toe in football or other things. You hurt your toe, that hurts you. So I don't mean anything. So let Deuce get some burn time. Maybe you got some, he got a lucky shot off the backboard that went in. Sometimes that's all you need to get going. You hit a nice little midi, so yeah, give him some time to get his rhythm, play with the guys. But there should be, at this team, the way they play today, there's just no reason you should be playing D Rose. You should be shopping him, not playing him.
It's going to be hard to shop him now, though, with the injury. That's the big concern, At least he was starting to round into, better playing shape. But now with him going down with the toe injury, it's going to bring up more questions. Is a contending team going to be willing to include any type of assets to bring in a guy like Derrick Rose when you see how he continues to have these injury concerns, even when they try to, monitor his minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think D Rose has played more than 20 minutes in a game this season.
Yeah, if it's so, it was one game, but he hasn't. His shot. He's played some good minutes, but times come. There's no reason to play him on this team. We're just a 500 at best team, so now it's time to let the kids play through their mistakes, let them mature, and allows the coaching staff and the SV Nation the ability to assess their the floor and ceiling of the young players.
Some of these young guys, facts. Let's see what else we have going on in chat. Men Will Cruz says, I'm starting Grimes and Cam. RJ will come off the bench. RJ is thinking up the place. I don't disagree with you there, my friend. Jay Boogie, salute to Jay Boogie. Appreciate you tuning in. Geraldine McIver, he says, salute Queen. There's nothing wrong with him. That's his game. Oh, I'm guessing he's saying something. Oh, Geraldine was saying something's wrong with RJ, and Jay Boogie was like, nah, man, that's just how he plays. And hopefully he'll figure it out, because right now the status quo is not it. Especially after we done gave him the bag, it's going to be even harder to move him now too if he continues to struggle. I've been a big fan of trying to say RJ is somebody that we should keep long term and continue to try to build around. But it's hard for me to keep that stance when he's going out and stinking up the joint every single night. How are you going to look? What was he, 1 or 22?
Don't you like when he goes like that, though? Isn't that real cool?
It's not at all. What was he, 1 or 22 in the last 4 games heading into tonight from 3? He was either 1 or 22 or 1 or 23. And you can't be a guard, we have him playing forward, but it doesn't matter. You can't be a perimeter-oriented player and be shooting that poorly from the 3-point line. So he's going to have to figure that out. He's going to have to get with Drew Hanlon and work on that jump shot. You don't want to tweak too much in season, but he's going to have to figure it out, because what he's doing right now is not working. And it's not going to be sustainable long term if he's going to try and be a major piece of this team moving forward.
It's not working from 3. It's not working from 3 feet. Seriously, man. It's like in one sequence he missed 2 bunnies.
Yeah, right under the rim.
Right under there, and he's like looking around like, and it's like, yo, man, you got no burst, no explosion, and no all-star team in your future.
Not if he's playing like that. You know, he can turn it around. I don't like to say, you know, my opinion isn't necessarily set in stone. These guys can go out there and, you know, figure it out the following game for all we know. But if he keeps it up like this, he's going to be on the trading block year in and year out, because this is not something you would want to build around. Let's see what else we got going on in chat. Knicks 100 a game says this was a throwaway game for the back-to-back. Me personally, the OKC Thunder game should have been the throwaway game. I wanted us to go out there and try and beat a solid Phoenix Suns team, as opposed to going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder and trying to win that one. I would like to win the first game, so then that way you can adjust on the second game. Because now, knowing the way Tibbs coaches, is he's coaching to make sure we win that last game to go out, try and go 3-2 on this trip. I'm concerned as to what type of position he could put these players in if he's just trying to do whatever he can to make sure he wins every single game on his trip.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he is doing. If you can't beat a Chris Paul and a Cam Johnson, you know, missing two key players. How many teams have they played where they lucked out with the other team not having
solid
players?
You know,
what's going to happen later this year when we play them again and they have their full roster?
I think all our wins have been against depleted teams for the most part.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely.
I have to look at the actual schedule.
Yeah, it's been brutal. Kaiser Soze, shout out to you, my friend. It's time to blow up the team. Trade Randle. Reach.
Yeah, I don't know about blow up the team, but trade Randle definitely.
You gotta, there's only a couple pieces. You know, if Grimes could stay healthy, he's absolutely a piece you want to keep. I feel very strongly that Quickley will come out of his shooting slump. I'm not saying he's going to go crazy, but he's a lot better shooter than he's playing right now. And but his defense, you know, if you look at the plus minus, not that that's one of my favorite stats. He, I think, was -1 today. Yeah, -1, which is one of the. No, it wasn't the best on the team. Ryan A was better. D Rose was better. He had a 3, but it was but one played 28 minutes of real time, not garbage. Mm-hmm. So just meaning his box score versus -24 for RJ. You know,
-22 for Brunson.
Yeah, that's crazy. But Brunson, that's the thing where you're saying, hey, he shot over 50% from the field. He shot 50% from 3. You know, he needs help. You know, he's trying all he can, but he's not getting any help, this guy, at all.
Yeah, not one bit. Also, Foxy, I pulled up the schedule. So Memphis, we played Memphis. They weren't 100%. They were missing Jackson Jr., right?
Yeah, they were.
Bucks.
And I think they were
lost that game. Detroit.
Desmond Bay also. No, there was another game. Okay.
He just wasn't playing his usual self.
Yeah.
But we're looking at the wins. So we beat Detroit, Orlando. They don't count. We beat Charlotte. They were without LaMelo. We beat Philly. They were without Embiid. And Harden. Yeah. We beat Minnie. They were without Gobert.
Right.
Detroit doesn't count. And then we beat Utah. They were 100%, but. I mean, heading into the season, they would be one of the teams.
But I think they beat Detroit without Cade.
The second time, yeah. But even though, with or without Cade, us beating Detroit is something that we should be doing. We'll talk about them a little bit more in the show. And then we beat Denver, who didn't have Joker and Aaron Gordon. So every single one of our wins have either been against a team that's rebuilding and in the race for, I always mess his name, but Wembanyama. I said it correctly?
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama. There we go.
Yeah.
I'll run with Wemby because I mess up with names all the time. So we'll run with that. We only beat teams that are in the running for Wemby, and then we beat teams that didn't have a fully healthy squad. So even though we're right around 500, it's not necessarily a 500 that you should have any type of confidence in, because very easily if those teams had their full assortment of players, we may have an even worse record.
No doubt.
Let's see. We got 48 in chat, only 16 likes. Do us a solid, just smash that like button. We'd greatly appreciate it. We got our guy Lex the Destroyer holding it down, making sure these crazy sites are pulling up and trying to solicit your attention. So thank you for Lex for holding it down. We greatly appreciate it. Big Lou says Johnny Bryant should be the new voice. All Tibbs does is stand on sideline and not hold players accountable, especially Randle and RJ. I mean, at first I was okay with him letting RJ stay out there during his first few seasons, but now, this is year 4. You can't play this poorly and just have the coach allow you to play through it, especially when this team is trying to be competitive and trying to win games. So when RJ is bumming it like he's been so far on this West Coast trip, you have to look down that roster, that bench, and see if there's other players that can come in and give you more. And I think there's a few players on the squad that can give us more than what RJ has given us the last few games. I mean, before Cam got hurt, Grimes should have been picking up some of the minutes that RJ was stinking up the joint. And we saw that today, the way Grimes was able to come in, inserted into the starting lineup, and he was able to be impactful. So this is something that Tibbs is going to have to keep an eye on when Cam Reddish returns and is fully healthy, if there has to be some changes and adjustments in the rotation, because right now Tibbs is using RJ to kind of stagger between the starters and the bench unit as if he's being beneficial to either one of them. And with the way he's bricking, it's not helpful at all. And he's done it, I think, at least in the last 2 games, maybe the last 3 games, where that's the way he's kind of shortening the lineup. He'll take RJ out a little bit early in that opening quarter, whether it be the first or the third. Then he'll sub RJ back in with like 2 or 3 minutes to go in that same quarter. And that's how he'll use him to stagger the 2 units. And to me, either he needs to find another player that's going to be more beneficial in those minutes, or he needs to just make a major change and shake things up.
And I think it goes beyond bricking, and it goes beyond his terrible defense. I mean, no point of attack defense, just no close. He's like Randall Jr. looks lazy out there, but he's not passing to people. We're watching the game, and from the camera angle, we're saying, "Oh, that guy's open. Don't pass to him." And by the what the big difference? If you watch Grimes today and RJ, Grimes keeps his head up. RJ, when he gets into his thing, he's like in a tunnel vision. He doesn't keep his head up. This is in his 4th year, man. You would expect that development to have almost a 1-to-1 ratio of assists to turnovers for RJ. It's totally unacceptable. You can't win like that.
Not one bit. All right, let's see what else we have going on in chat. Said Knicks 100 a game, says it's going to take until after the All-Star break for us to have a new point guard and a new center. I don't think we'll have a new point guard. I don't think we'll have a new center either. We just gave Mitch the bag. I know December 15th is when we can start making moves and including him in a deal.
I think January 15th for Mitch.
January 15th? All right. So he'll be available to be moved at that point. And I mean, it's possible because there were discussions that they were going to include Mitch in a big deal before we signed the extension. So definitely it's a possibility. Me personally, I think they might look to move off of iHeart before they move off of Mitch, because Mitch, I think, is still a solid starting center. You have Mitch there as long as he can stay healthy, and then you have Jericho Sims coming off the bench. You can continue to develop him, and if Sims at one point or at some point, develops his game to where he can be starting caliber, then maybe you start to entertain maybe moving Mitch at that point. But I think right now, Mitch and Jericho Sims are our best tandem at the center position, with iHeart, in 3rd place.
Yeah, I think they should be thinking about moving iHeart next year, meaning moving if you can this year, but where we're picking right now and where I think we're on the trajectory to be, like we said, I picked 38 wins, but let's say a 500 team around 41 wins, that the way they'll fall, maybe they can get a stretch 5, whether Derek Lively out of Duke, whether Killel Ware out of Oregon, Flipowski also out of Duke, or a real stretch. Hartenstein is not a 3-point shooter, and he's not spreading the offense. He's averaging 1 assist, so he's a backup center. So let's get somebody, a modern day center on this team, and where we're picking, we may be able to pick up a center like that. But let Sims get burned. Let's get rid of our Hartenstein, and if a good offer comes in for Mitch, I have no problem, man. You and I both said they paid $12 million more than they had to. It was a bad contract. Don't give them a penny more than Time Lord Robert Williams, but they did. And hopefully he can come back and get into shape, in the next several weeks. But by that time, it'll be, 25 games into the season, man.
Yeah, also Lex is correcting me. We appreciate that. He says he meant we already have a new point guard and center. So that's what Knicks 100 game meant. All right, thank you for clarifying. All right, so Foxy, how do you feel about Tibbs and his coaching in this game? Do you think that there were some things that he could have done in order to help right the ship in that third quarter? Or are you happy with the rotations and the amount of minutes guys played?
Yeah, he won't give the hook. Meaning if you and I and, JD and George and the SV Nation are saying, Jesus, they're literally just standing there. He made no effort. He's just standing there. What do they have today, folks? They had 22 offensive rebounds. That means nobody's boxing out. Nobody's making any effort. So 22 offensive rebounds. So he could have done something, put the hook in there, pull him out, get him out of here. RJ, it's like put Svi in, put somebody in, but get him out too. He was like Randle Jr. today. There was times literally there, no effort, literally just standing there. So it's like, so I'm not happy with Tibbs. You're promoting that rather than putting a line in the sand saying, hey, this is the NBA. You're going to get lit up. But, I've seen guys play great defense and get lit up. You're not playing any defense, and that's unacceptable. You're out. So, and the only reason Miles, every time there's somebody that's in there, it's not because he's doing the right thing. It's because of an injury. Grimes is playing not because we're like, you know what, we got to get him into that 3-point shooting and stuff like that. No, he put him in because Cam is hurt. He didn't put Deuce in today because let me give Deuce some burn. No, he put him in because Rose hurt his big toe. Mm-hmm. So, Tibbs, they can't get rid of Tibbs quick enough for me.
Yeah, Tibbs is always forced into some of these things. I remember when he started to use that small ball a little bit more. The reason he used it was because Jericho Sims and Ihart both had, 3 fouls in the first half, and Mitch was unavailable. So it seemed like when Tibbs starts to do the right things or the things that we think he should be doing, he's always forced into that. And I think that's not going to be ideal when you're looking at the guy that's supposed to be running the show in that locker room. Also, I'm not a fan of how we continue to leave these players wide open from three. Whatever we're doing schematically is not working. In the first half, we were lucky. The Suns had good looks, but they were just not making their threes. But now we saw in that second half, once they started to get into a rhythm, they were just hitting wide open threes for the most part. We did contest some. I'm not going to act like everything was uncontested. But for the most part, they were getting quality looks, at will, whenever they wanted to. And we paid the price. By the end of the game, they ended up shooting, 43.6% from the 3-point line compared to us who only shot 28%.
Yeah, but as you and I, we were always saying that this is the NBA, man. You leave an NBA player open, their shooting stats go right through the roof. And I stopped, rewound how many times, and it was like whether Torrey Craig and everything. It's like, what the hell is Randle just slides right into the paint? It's like, what are you leaving that guy all open? It was like just walking back casually and did the same thing. They were nowhere near the guys. And it's like, what are you doing, man? And they're a good team from three and stuff. So it made no sense. It doesn't look like they want it.
Yeah, and Randle was getting me tight too in that second half of the third quarter specifically because Jalen Brunson, you could see he was trying to make a concerted effort to kind of push the pace, try to attack the Phoenix Suns early before they can set up their defense and things like that. But there was one instance where Julius Randle, he just meandered up the court. Like there was no urgency, no sense of urgency, like the team wasn't losing. And then he just put up like maybe 4 or 5 seconds into this shot clock or into the time he had crossed midcourt. He puts up a terrible 3-point shot, and of course it bricks. And I'm like, come on, man. We were starting to build some momentum to try and cut into this lead or not allow the Phoenix Suns to extend the lead any further. And you're putting up that type of shot really just kinds of, takes away from the momentum that we were trying to put together and trying to mount that comeback. But we also got a super chat from Jay Boogie. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Says LMAO, that was funny as a mug. It's not working from 3. It's not working from
3 feet.
Fox, aka the Young Warner. You need to stop that. I'm tapped out.
Hey, Boogie, I got your, well, when we started the show, my phone rang. You may have heard of, folks. It was Boogie, the Boogie phone. It's like the bad phone, but it's the Boogie phone. So I sent it to Keith. I don't know if we're going to get time, but Boogie, if not this week, next week, he asked us to pop on a video for him that he just completed. So I sent you the link, Keith. If at the end of the show we can. If not, Boogie, we'll definitely try next week. But try to give us a little more of a head start rather than mid-show. But we thank you so much for your super chat and always your support, man.
Yeah, we appreciate that, Jay Boogie.
Yeah. Geraldine MacGyver, Keith and Fox, remember that show you guys did about Tibbs? That was spot on. Get him out of here.
Well,
yeah.
We'll be working on more videos like that. We'll be working on one where we'll be talking about the entire organization, seeing if there needs to be a change from the ground up.
Yeah, we're excited. We have a show coming up, folks. We may do it on another night, in fact, but we want to provide you a solution. It's easy for to say that Tibbs sucks, Leon sucks, everybody sucks, but we think we like coming up with solutions. So. Yeah, but I have to. There was an article a number of years ago, like almost 3 years ago, the 5 steps to a coaching cycle of Tom Thibodeau, and it's always when a team has a team meeting, the next step is he gets fired.
Yep, that's the beginning.
So they had the team meeting, they played well or some energy, but they lost it big time. So it was like not even having a meeting. So Tibbs, I'm expecting us to get blown out by OKC. Their offense is just too high powered, even for a young team for us to do anything.
And everybody's talking about the team meeting, like the team came out of the team meeting looking great.
And they found Jesus, I know.
But we beat Utah, they've been playing well, to start the season, but they haven't been looking that good in their last few games. And heading into the season, we all thought they would be in on the Wemby race as well. So that I'm not really saying that's a major win in the grander scheme of things. And then we beat Denver, who, like we mentioned before, didn't have any of their heavy hitters, didn't have 2 of their best 3 players. So I think the returns from that team meeting are not as great as some people might have thought initially.
Yeah. The wonderful John Talento said, it looks like Randle wants to get out of here. John, don't you love when Randle makes a boo-boo and he puts his hands up in the air like, what? I was like, what do you mean what, man? Look in the freaking mirror, what? Dives for the ball and throws it into your hands. Can't write stuff like this, man. It's like, I can't believe that, people sign contracts. I'm so old-fashioned. I'm such a dinosaur. It's like, if I ever even if I don't sign a contract, I'm giving my all on every possession like it's my last possession. And these guys are like, whoa.
Yeah, Jay Boogie, another super chat. Appreciate that. He says that was for you to let me know what you thought. I don't want that video reviewed yet next week. I just wanted to have it in place. All right, copy. Yeah, I do see that in the email. I'm not releasing yet, so no worries.
I don't know if my friend Hector, Knicks Morning Brew, I'm out of season already. Knicks Morning Brew is around, but he let me know, and I just wanted to give a shout out to my guy Heck. This coming Wednesday at 11 a.m., he's going to have Ja Rule on. So if he had Jerry Ferrara on a couple of weeks ago from what was the name of that show? I went blank.
Entourage?
Entourage, thank you. From Entourage fame, Ja Rule, who I found out is a big Knicks fan. Yeah, got him, Murderick. So he's going to have Ja Rule on this Wednesday at 11 a.m., folks. So please tune in to Yankees Morning Brew with Heck, Jigga Man, and the fabulous Phil Porto.
Thank you for that, Foxy. Shout out to Knicks Morning Brew, doing big things over there. Make sure you tune into them. Let's see. Big Lou says, sorry, why is Obi in the corner? Because he's knocking down the 3?
Well, he's got to get handles to create his own shot.
True. Knicks 100 a game says Tibbs' rotation was superb. If he continues to use this rotations, we're going to blow teams out. You watch. See?
Who said that?
Knicks 100 a game.
I was going to say so if he continues this, we're going to have a top 5 pick.
See, how Tibbs was trying to set up the rotation, I'm not too upset with the fact that he was trying to stagger RJ's minutes. It's the fact that he's trying to do that with RJ when RJ is not playing well at the moment. Like, that's something I should have seen more with Cam, which we did see a lot of. I forgot what game it was, but Cam played 37 minutes, and Tibb was using Cam in that type of role where he was kind of staggering both with the starters and with the bench unit. But what he's been doing in this game and the game prior with RJ not playing well, I just don't see why he's trying to stagger RJ's minutes, and he should open up the rotation a little bit. If RJ's not playing well and you're trying to, see if you can get him in there with this first and the second unit and it's not working, then just take him out the game and sit him. You've sat him before. This is not nothing new. We saw RJ get sat or he got benched when he shot like 2 of 10. I forgot which game it was exactly. But I think
he got benched more because of his lack of defense that game.
It's not like he's been playing great defense since. so why the change of philosophy, especially when Quentin Grimes is healthy enough for you to just thrust him into the starting lineup like you did today? It makes no sense. You think that Grimes was kind of hampered by the injury, and that's why he didn't get extended play or get any play time when RJ was bumming up or stinking up the joint. But now it seems like that's just Tibbs. He wants to have this rigid 9-man rotation, and he's only going to open it up when there's foul trouble or something or an injury, which to me I think is a bad way to try and coach your team. Game to game, we have a lot of role players on this team, and one thing about role players is they can be inconsistent from time to time, especially when you're out there on the road. So for Tibbs to be so rigid in these rotations, when these role players are going to have games where they're not going to be the best option out there on the court, you have other guys on the bench that you can insert. If RJ's not playing well, put Grimes in, put Cam in for more minutes out there on the court. Don't continue to throw RJ out there when he's being detrimental to the team, both offensively and defensively.
Absolutely. I see Duras. Hope all is well with you and your family. Our identity is fixing other teams' problems. Or making no names have the game of their life.
That's a fact. Every time we go out there, a no name has a game against us. Who was it in this game? Let's put up the Suns. I don't think
Payne is a no name, but Payne really balled out.
Payne has a name when he plays against us, though. He's always kicking ass.
Damian Lee, although he was on a world championship team last year, but
true, but he was a role player on that team. He really wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, is this playing? My bad.
Yep.
Whoopsie.
I was about to say, I think I hear your neighbors.
I thought I had an intruder. I was about to drop the headphones and run out and say, what the hell's going on here?
Yo,
intruder alert.
Stance.
Yeah, but we could see Lee, he had 15 points. He was 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from the 3-point line, 3 of 3 from the charity stripe. That was good enough for 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He was plus 14. Bismack Biyombo, he was a beast in the paint, especially in that second half, grabbing up all the rebounds. Like, we couldn't keep him off the boards. He had, but also
he was critical with the screens he was setting to open up Booker.
That's true. Even though we did, who was it? Brunson, I think, got a pretty good foul called on him because he was a moving screen in the first half. I believe it was Brunson. Yeah. So Bismack, he had 5 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Let's see who else had a great game. Like we mentioned before, Devin Booker, he had 20 points. 7 of 17, 5 of 8 from the 3-point line, had 5 rebounds and 3 assists. And then Cam Payne, he did his thing. He had 21 points, 7 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from the 3-point line, 5 of 5 from the charity stripe. He had 7 rebounds, 9 assists. Damn near, almost had a triple-double on us.
Yeah, this is what happens when you give players in the NBA open shots.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we do it time and time again. You look at
terrible. I mean, it's crazy, man.
And we have a defensive coach, so I don't understand what's going on here. The defense should be the one thing we shouldn't be worried about.
Well, I think history will teach us that the bubble year, you were really lucky because we did the same thing and they missed a lot of shots, the opposing teams that year. They're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, not doing it whatsoever. So Ayton, he had 13 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 0 from the 3-point line, 11 rebounds, 4 steals. And then Bridges, he played great defense on Brunson. Initially, Brunson started to find his shot in that third quarter. But I think initially he was forcing Jalen Brunson to take some very difficult shots. And he wasn't able to convert on in that first half.
Yeah, he I loved it because it was like, yo, we may have been brothers at Villanova, but I'm gonna kill you in the pros. I mean, we could be friends after the game, but he was very physical. They were, Brunson was.
So Brunson complaining about it to the ref.
Yeah, but
he's holding me. That's all I kept reading his lips. He's holding me. I'm like, all right, cool. So go through his chest.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I read Bridges' stats, right? 13 points, 6 of 11 from the field, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals. Also had a block. And then Craig, 14 points, 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from the 3-point line. I think a lot of those came in the second half, too.
Yeah, and to show how much I know, I sent to Keys before the game and I went, Torrey Craig is a small forward. So I said, Randle should beast on this dude. He's like so much stronger and more powerful than him. Nope.
He did on one possession. I think it was Craig who he babied, and he had a nice little easy basket, like 5-6 feet from the rim. But that was all we really saw of it.
When he does that head fake and then he does that second fake, I could break my TV, man. It's like, here comes
a bad decision.
There's a bad decision coming. He's
Right
going to brick something. Yeah. And he puts himself in that position. It's like I've never seen a guy 6'9" in my life that is under the basket and is like, he's going to get a shot block. What do you mean he's 6'9"? No, he can't jump. He has the same hops as RJ, man. I've never seen guys that size who can't score underneath the basket. No wonder he likes taking threes.
You would think he'd be a little bit more, he'd mix it up a little bit more in the paint with how physical he is. And we've seen him do it and be effective. But, it's hit or miss sometimes, You don't really know what to expect when he thought to go down there in the paint. It's either going to be him playing bully ball and getting a bucket, or it's going to be him trying to play bully ball and creating a turnover.
And the power forwards, the Zach Randolph, they know how to use their butt, man. They got that baggage for a reason. They know how to use that for separation.
Randall uses his shoulders and all.
Exactly.
Even when he goes for rebounds, a lot of the times you kind of see him jut that arm out, and I'm like, you're gonna get called for a foul. You keep doing that.
Yeah, and it'll happen in a critical time most of the time.
That's usually how it goes. Fact, that's usually how it goes.
And then he looks at the ref like, what? Tibbs, replay it. I love when the guys say replay it, and you're like, that was a foul. What the hell you mean replay it? Call, do a replay.
Yeah. Manuel Cruz says, let's not kid ourselves. This team is terrible. The only good player in this team is Brunson. I wouldn't go that far. I won't say the team is terrible, but the team is definitely flawed. And I think we have some solid players on this team. We just don't have any killers. If you want me to elaborate a little bit more, like Brunson, you saw in that third quarter, he felt like the game was kind of falling out of reach, and he tried to take over and tried to put the team on his back, and he was able to be effective somewhat. But after a while, you look at the Phoenix Suns squad, and they just had too much talent out there on the court, and they were able to pull ahead. But you look at some of the other guys, we have good players, decent players. They just aren't at that level where they can kind of take over games and things like that. And we were hoping that RJ Barrett could become that type of player, but he's been letting us down so far.
Yeah, but the whole thing that you and I talked about in the SV Nation is there's a really good shot that RJ is going to have good stats at the end of the year, but that's not what we asked. We asked for a consistent year. We asked, don't come to this year, have your normal slow start, and then all of a sudden shoot 60%, in December or January, and all these other things. That's not what we want, man. But also, we love trend analysis, not isolated data points. So the Knicks record this season was 3-3, 3-4. 4-4, 4-5, 5-5, 5-6, 6-6, 6-7, 7-7, 8-7, 8-8, now 8-9.
We've only had 2 winning streaks, and they've only been 2 games, I think, each.
Yeah, so that's
is that even a streak? I don't even know if I call that a streak.
And again, God bless you, my friend. You named the teams that we were eating on. That was, they were, not the teams, full strength teams and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's the mark of they're not a terrible team. They're worse than a terrible. We would love them to be a terrible team because then we could get a draft pick. We're mediocre, which is the worst thing to be in the NBA.
Yeah, they like to call it mid nowadays. I got to correct myself. We did have a win streak longer than 2 games, and that was the first, in the first 4 games, we beat Detroit, Orlando, and Charlotte back to back to back. So I do have to correct.
Yeah, powerhouses.
Yeah, right. Out there going up against the best of the best and then playing well, right? Quote unquote.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, today, as of today, no, it's different because we lost today. Before the game started, we were picking number 13, number 16 from Washington, and number 21 in the draft coming up. So maybe we'll get it. We'll see. But we definitely have to be in the top 5 to get a player that makes a difference here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, Geraldine McGivers wrote something funny that I saw in chat. She says, "Where is Dolan when you need him?" It's funny because sometimes, we want Dolan to get involved, and then there's other times where we want Dolan to stay as far away from this team as possible.
Yeah. The wonderful Nudie 25 has pulled in. Hey, hope all is well. It's been a minute, my friend.
Appreciate you tuning in, holding it down. Let's see. D. Ross says Tibbs is still using a VCA player for film sessions. I haven't seen a VCR, I think, in a decade, at least.
Word.
All right. Let's see. So, Foxy, I want to talk to you about this starting lineup. Initially, Tibbs had Cam out there starting, and unfortunately, he got injured. And one thing we know is injuries tend to open up opportunities for other players. And we saw Quentin Grimes go out there tonight and have a pretty good game and be a player that definitely fit in well with that starting lineup. So do you think that now it's going to bring up a bigger question as to who should be a starter in the lineup with Brunson, RJ, Randle, and Mitchell Robinson? So did you see anything from tonight that would make you think that Quentin Grimes should be in the starting lineup over a guy like Cam Reddish?
Yeah, I absolutely. Cam, we've said it before, Cam is consistently inconsistent. He'll show these flashes. They're like, oh my God. And then, like we said, the last game prior to being injured and with his groin, it was a terrible defensive game. Grimes is consistently good on defense. And also, Cam doesn't pass. Cam averages 1 assist a game. And thank God he's averaging a touch under 1 turnover a game, but he just brings a lot more. He doesn't rebound either. Cam. So with all that size and everything, when Emmanuel Quickley is a better rebounder than a 6'8" guy with a 7-foot plus wingspan, he's good. But no, if Grimes shakes off that rust and he shoots the 3 ball like we know he will shoot. He's a very good 3-pointer, but adds to his game like we saw that midi today. We saw him break down and go coast to coast for a layup. We saw the beautiful passes and stuff. Tibbs has talked about this. You have to do other elements of the game. And but it's also, as crazy as it sounds, folks, with Cam, it's good that we got a shot to see Cam. And now with a groin injury, and everybody in the SV Nation, we've lived through Frank Ntilikina's groin injury and know that it's like a hammy. They just keep flaring up every time. And it bothers me. It's like, you can understand it happening. He was running all over on Steph. No, I don't understand that. You're a professional athlete. One thing is running all over the court after Steph, but, pulling a damn groin and then saying, take me out. And I don't want this getting worse. What did he play, like 7 more minutes or so until he finally went out to the locker room? Yeah, so I think Grimes is a much more solid, consistent. If he is able to stay healthy, I think he's him next to Brunson with all of Brunson's issues on defense. I think he's a better defender. Meaning, I think he's more complimentary because of the other things he does than Cam. Cam is something that we all wish. But it looks like he can never stay healthy, and he can never put, 10, 20 point games together.
Fox, are you there?
A game, but Grimes will be a consistent player if he can stay healthy.
Okay, yeah, I'm a big fan of Quentin Grimes, but I think Cam should continue to stay in that starting lineup. You look at what Cam can do and just the physical His physical dimensions, you see, he's 6'8" compared to Quentin Grimes, 6'5". He's also got the edge with the wingspan, 7'1", as opposed to Quentin Grimes, 6'8" wingspan. And I think if you look at what's happening now with this second unit, especially with Derrick Rose being injured, I think right now will be a good time to keep Quentin Grimes with that second unit, because they might need another ball handler on that second unit that can create. So without Derrick Rose out there, I think Quentin Grimes can do a little bit more of what we saw today with that second unit, where he can be a willing passer, find guys. He was able to find Mitchell Robinson for a nice dunk and things like that. I think him out there with Emmanuel Quickley and with an Obi Toppin will definitely spice things up with that second unit. And I think if you look at what Cam Reddish was able to do when he was healthy in that starting lineup, I think he can go out there, give us major minutes defensively. And, you know, he does have some bad games here and there, but he also finds ways to disrupt teams, even when he's not having the best game defensively, whether that's being able to get deflections, poke the ball away, and just use his length to kind of make life difficult for opposing teams. So me personally, I think Cam should continue to stay in the starting lineup. And I also think that Cam's ceiling is higher than Quentin Grimes. So I would like to see what Cam is able to do as a starter, getting starting minutes, because when we saw him, you know, get an increase in his workload, we saw a lot of things that we didn't necessarily think Cam was able to do, whether that be pick up an opposing team's best perimeter player and play them tough, make life a little bit difficult for them, and also, you know, knock down the mid-range jump shot, be able to slither into the paint, finish with both hands, and things like that. So I think with Cam, we've seen some of the potential, and I think even though he's injured and Quentin Grimes is playing well, I would like to continue to see Cam Reddish out there as the starter, and continue to ease Grimes in with that second unit, especially when we're going to lose a playmaker in that second unit due to the Derrick Rose injury.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that makes a whole lot of sense, but it's also exciting in a weird way that, imagine the defense folks, if we have a second team of Deuce, IQ, Grimes, and I'll throw, you know, Sims maybe in there. Obi will be the weak link on the defense, but Deuce, IQ, and Grimes, that's a serious defensive second team right there.
Yeah, especially if, you know, with Deuce getting more minutes now that Rose is going to be out for some period of time. I'm not sure, they didn't give us much information. It's too soon for that, but you would think with him stubbing his toe, he might not be available next game. And
his
probably
injury history at his age,
at least. Yeah. So I want to also ask a question in the chat. We'll start a poll. Who should start? So we'll ask, should it be Cam as the starter, which is who I think should start? Should it be Quentin Grimes as the starter? And we'll even throw in a curveball. Should they both start and we move RJ Barrett to the bench? I'd like to know what you guys think. Foxy, how would you feel about that if we were to start Cam Reddish and Quentin Grimes and maybe move RJ Barrett to the bench?
I have no problem if we put a fire under his ass for him to pick his game up, but I just don't think they'll do it to a number 3 pick and to the golden child. I think he's, you know, or I call him the nickel child, because so far he's not even silver, man. You forget about gold, he ain't even silver, man. He turns your wrist green. So, yeah.
Oh man, Foxy with the ether.
He's like a Monet, man. A Monet painting from a distance it looks good, but when you get up and close, you're like, it's a monstrosity.
I hate that one. Buzzer Beater says Grimes is a starter. He's the better defender. He earned it. Okay, I hear you on that one, Buzzer Beater. Won't disagree. I think Grimes is a solid, is a better defender. He's a more tenacious defender. So if you want to use that as your reason to start him over Cam Reddish, you know, I won't argue against you.
Yeah, and also at this stage of his career, Grimes is a much better catch and shoot player. So somebody breaks down, kicks it out to him at the 3 for a catch and shoot 3. Cam is a good bad shot shooter. He's not a catch and shoot guy. His career has never been, but he'll make these plays and he makes these threes with guys on him. So he's a good, bad shoot guy, but you really don't want to, that's not what you want to have. Somebody taking bad shot selection and making them.
Well, he's worked on his shot selection, I think, over the past few games. And I think the fact that Quentin Grimes is such a good catch and shoot shooter, he might benefit a little bit more with that second unit where that ball moves more. With the starters, the ball sticks from time to time, especially when it gets into Julius Randle's hands. So maybe for Quentin Grimes in his development, it might be better to play in that free-flowing second unit where he can either operate, in a lot of catch and shoot situations, or he can also orchestrate as well. We saw in the summer league the Knicks tried to get him to be a orchestrator out there, setting teammates up, and we saw in his first game he was able to do this against NBA comp. So hopefully this is something he can build upon, and then maybe with that second unit or even with the starters, he can do a little bit more of it.
Yeah. And like we said, I'd love them to park Cam in the corner, and if he's open, get him the ball. But he's such a natural, like you said, slither. He's a great guy, snake into the hole like that. And so somebody, we said it before, could they at least have one or two cutting plays to the basket for a player on this team? You just never see it.
I want to see us feature Cam a little bit more on the offense. You talk about him being parked in the corner. They do a lot of that, but the ball just typically is on the other side of the court whenever Cam is parked in that corner. So I would like to see Tibbs run a little bit more plays, a few more plays for Cam when he comes back from injury. And honestly, if Grimes continues to play as well as he did in this game, you think Tibbs is going to find a way to get Cam involved? Because it seems like Tibbs is stuck in his ways when it comes to this 9-man rotation outside of injuries or any type of foul trouble. So do you think that there will be a legitimate discussion as to whether or not Tibbs will reinsert Cam into not even just the starting lineup, but into the rotation after he gets back and healthy?
No, he has, I think he likes Grimes a whole lot more than Cam, so I think he may take Grimes' side, but I'm also concerned about, Cam coming back and then him doing, like I said before about Frank, that he's going to have this injury for the rest of the year. Like, oh man, he had this opportunity. You had this at your fingertips. And, we don't mind the mistakes, but show that you can play defense night in, night out, let your offensive game come, and great, but not again, another freaking injury. Come on, man.
Yeah, but one thing I will say, though, at least this injury, he got injured while trying to give maximum effort,
I know.
One thing we can say about Cam sometimes is it doesn't look like he's not too energetic out there. It doesn't look high motor. If he got injured chasing around Steph Curry, you'll live with it. As long as it doesn't keep him out for extended periods of time and it doesn't become a reoccurring thing.
Yep. So hopefully he has a big bag of ice on his groin.
Pause.
Pause is right.
All right, let's see. Let's end the poll. Let's see what the chat thinks. So we have who should start. We have 53% saying that we should start both and bench RJ. And then we have 23% thinking Cam Reddish should continue to start. And then we have 23% thinking Quentin Grimes should start. So, wow. Pretty much a tie between Cam Reddish and Grimes. And then the leading vote getter was benching RJ altogether. Pretty interesting poll results.
Well, the eyes don't lie. I think people are just getting to the level with RJ of, come on, man. Were you sick or not? You're playing crazy minutes, and again, that's on Tibbs. Why are you playing a guy that has a flu or something like that? If he doesn't have it, it looked like his eyes were glazed over. In the games prior to tonight, like the kid's hurting. Let him have a day off and just say, get yourself back together. But you played him, and just his other, his body language, his shooting, everything about him. So I just don't know where we go from here, especially he signed the contract, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Hopeful. I mean, to be honest, the way we signed the contract or the way we offered him the contract is extremely frustrating because it seemed like it was a second option. It's not really
desperate. Yeah. All right, we couldn't get. All right, we're showing you. You don't want to trade Donovan Mitchell to us. We'll sign RJ. We'll show you.
We'll take him off the table, quote unquote, because you have no other options. Well, oh, okay. You sure about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Ding. Call up Cleveland real quick. Like, hey, you got an offer that can beat the Knicks offer? Sure. And then boom, there we go. lost him.
Yeah, yeah, but their reality came that you and I were worried about, where we said Donovan Mitchell is a special guy, but if you pair Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, we're not going to win anything, man. That's talk about a no defense backcourt. Before last night, they lost 5 straight games, man.
Yeah, true. I hear you on that one. But I wouldn't be too concerned. I think that's a trade I'd make and worry about it after the fact. I think if you have Donovan Mitchell on this team, you probably feel a lot better about the roster construction than without Donovan Mitchell.
No, I agree with you. But if there was real people in the front office, they would have said, we're going full blast into Donovan Mitchell, but we're not going to get Jalen Brunson. That wouldn't be a great backcourt. So we're going to put Donovan at the point, and we're going to put our money there, but we're going to save the money for Brunson, and we're going to go other places. But we can't have a backcourt. It's just bad roster construction to have a backcourt of Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. You know, they may be exciting. Like I said, they have an incredible offense, but they'd be invisible on defense.
I mean, that would be a pretty interesting starting lineup if we had Spider, Grimes at the 2, Cam at the 3, and then it would have been Randle at the 4, Mitch at the 5.
That's a perfect lineup, especially with Donovan having a Grimes next to him, and the other guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate the support. Make sure you smash that like button. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, we know you have options tonight, but you guys chose to be here with us. So we really appreciate that, especially after a tough loss.
You know, it's also been bothering me. You asked me about Tibbs. This is an old school guy. How many games have we seen this year this team doesn't know how to run a fast break? You know, high school, everything, you did so many, you know, drills of running fast breaks that it's in your DNA of you know, spreading it out so you get the right angles and everything. And you know, and how many 3, 4, 5 different times this year that he did not, you know, we couldn't run a damn fast break this team.
Nah.
Hey, folks, I apologize, but I have a maniac.
Hey, Miles is pulling up again?
Yeah, Miles is pulling up again.
Salute, Miles. How's everything? Hope everything's good with you.
Come here, I want you to say hi to your uncle and the SV Nation. 1 second. Here he comes. He's a maniac. There he is.
You hear?
Yeah, this is more entertaining than the damn Knicks, that's for sure. He loves to kiss his daddy. I don't blame him.
I hear you on that one. One of the days I gotta get Infinite's dog, and we'll go take the dog to the dog park or something.
Yeah, but boy, does he play great defense. And believe me, he's a dog on D. He gets that from his daddy.
I hear you on that one. All right, so Foxy, let's talk about...
sorry, he's breaking up the place.
He's doing his thing.
Hey, my wife's here. He's going to take him. My wife's nude, so she can't come on camera. But you look great, babe.
Here you are that one, Foxy. All right.
How do you know?
I'm taking your word for it, brother, man. I'm taking your word for it. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about Jericho Sims, just to see what he was doing heading into this game. So in the last 4 games heading into tonight, he was averaging 23.9 minutes. I was almost on fast forward there for a second. 8.3 points while shooting 71.4% from the field. Also averaging 9.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1 steal, and 1.3 blocks. So Jericho Sims has definitely been making a name for himself in the last 4 games, and he's actually making noise that he should be the one getting those backup minutes over a guy like iHeart. So Foxy, what have you seen from Jericho Sims over these last few games, and do you think that there is a legitimate debate as to whether or not who should be getting the bulk of the backup minutes to Mitchell Robinson?
I don't know. SV Nation, is it me? It's not even a contest. He should be getting iHeart's minutes. You know, he blocks shots. iHeart blocks shots, but not very intentionally. You know, it's just, we talked about he's so slow on the perimeter. You know, I mentioned, you watch Sims against Denver on a possession against Bones Highland, then you watch him against Jamal Murray. It's like he got down his position and everything. It's like, why the hell aren't we playing this kid? Why aren't we not playing this kid? I think he's putting, forget about iHeart. He's out of the picture to me. He's like stepped up so far, Sims, that I think he should be pushing Mitch. So I think iHeart shouldn't even be in the question. iHeart to me should be like deuce minutes. That if it's a blowout or somebody gets in foul trouble.
Situation.
But you know something? I think Jericho is showing he's great on the perimeter. He's doing other things. It's just repetitions at this stage. Let him get more reps. Let him, because he has one or two fouls a game usually where he just bulldozes somebody. He just runs him over. Get those fouls out of his thing. But yeah, he has so much more upside than iHeart. Play Deuce, man, and he definitely has skills that we should be harnessing.
Yeah, way more upside than iHeart, even if iHeart can knock down the three consistently. You see the fact that Jericho Sims, he's pretty much the only big man we have on the roster that can hold his own out there on an island against another perimeter player, whether that be a guard or a forward. And I think that's very valuable in a league that's more and more moving towards perimeter-oriented players. And I think if Jericho Sims is given more of an opportunity, maybe, like you said, he could give Mitchell Robinson a run for his money at that starting center position. But we won't know because Tom Thibodeau really hasn't featured him as much as we would have liked. And I think with what we saw today, I think it kind of opens up the door for Jericho Sims to get more opportunities and to get more minutes. The fact that Tibbs was willing to yank iHeart because he got the early foul trouble and not go to him again until the second half. And me personally, I was a little bit confused because I'm like, I know we have to see Jericho Sims in this first half because iHeart got pulled with about 8 minutes left in the first. And I'm like, Mitch is just coming back from injury. There's no way he could have the conditioning to play 8 full minutes. So we have to see Jericho Sims. I don't see iHeart coming back in towards the end of the quarter. But Tibbs, being Tibbs, completely surprised me. He played Mitch for the entire 8 minutes of that last first quarter. And then he also brought him back to start the second. I'm sitting here like, yo, is Tibbs serious? There's no way Tibbs is that ass right now. He's not going to have Mitch play the entire 8 minutes and then start the second quarter. But luckily, with about 30 seconds or like 30 seconds in, he had Jericho Sims, report to the table and try to check in. So, hopefully that is going to wake up iHeart to either have him play better or, let him know that Jericho Sims is there and he will eat up those minutes.
Yeah. And also with Jericho Sims, he shoots foul shots nicely. His form and everything. So when you have a guy like Mitch shooting 42%, iHeart shooting from the line well. I'm glad he hit a floater. It was like all of a sudden his floater went cold recently, and I was like, "Wow!"
I can't call him Floaterstein anymore.
Floaterstein, yeah. But yeah, absolutely. So have Othello Harrington keep working with him, that he's not so jump crazy, because his nickname, folks, I'm sure is Jump Man. So he leaves his feet a touch too much, Jericho, but he's a young guy, man. Get him. Let him get his minutes, let him get a couple of shots off, but let him handle the ball. I think I'd love to see him. We saw it last year with Mitch taking Plumlee off the dribble to the hole. I think Jericho Sims can do that a lot better than Mitch. So I'd love to see his game expand. And, and if he gets 6 fouls, it's a learning lesson.
Yeah, it is what it is. As long as those 6 fouls aren't terrible fouls or put us in bad positions, put us over the limit and whatnot, you'll live with them because we have depth at that center position. I'm cool with the centers committing fouls, but it has to be sensible. Don't go out there and commit the iHeart fouls where you're not setting a good screen. If the team gets beat and you have to foul to prevent a basket to go up, then you'll live with it. But it's the ticky-tack fouls that really get that really grind my gears. And that's something that iHeart specializes in, ticky-tack fouls.
Yeah, and he's not, and the thing also about Sims, he's averaging like not even a half a turnover a game. So he's not a guy that, oh God, every time he comes in the game, turnover crazy. No, not at all. So it's like lunacy, but he'll keep starting until, but also the point that you made about Mitch, it was visible to all of us that he was laboring, that he hasn't got his win back yet because of the missing several weeks and everything. And and to me, I'm old school. That's when another injury happens, when you're tired like that.
Fatigue.
So I'm like, take him out, take him out, take him out, Tibbs, take him out, take him out, take him out. And it's like, you're going to leave this guy in? What are you, crazy? And like you said, there was a play where he just had no bounce to get a lob that went over his head, and at the beginning of the season, he would have had that ball, Mitch. He would have deflected it or whatever. And it's like, what the hell happened in 2 weeks, man?
He's a bigger guy. You're not able to do your typical conditioning, so maybe put on a little bit more pounds. And when you take some time off the court, when you get back on the court, it takes a little bit. You got to knock the cobwebs off and things like that. So I understand why he might not have been as spry as we've seen him before, and not as fluid as we would have liked when it comes to him moving up and down the court. But hopefully that returns. It'll just take a little bit of time. When a guy leaves due to injury, there's always a game or two where they just have to get adjusted.
Yeah.
All right. So we're speaking about Sims, and we're speaking about iHeart, because it kind of brings into question this front office, because I think the front office, the longer they've been in position or in power, the more you start to have some questions and concerns about how they've been handling this roster. So let's just go to a tweet from Tommy Bear. I'll read it to you guys. It says, New York had more cap space than any team in 2021. Leon Rose spent $200 million on Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, Kemba Walker, and Taj Gibson. 11 months later, New York had to attach draft picks to dump Burks, Noel, and Kemba, and will likely do the same with Fournier. Now, Evan Fournier really didn't even play during the garbage minutes, right? I was preparing. I know.
Yeah, Wally made a comment that when you're a vet like that, it may be viewed as disrespectful.
You need to be fighting for your job, bro. I don't know about disrespectful. I'm not complaining about it, but I would have liked to see him get on the court, hit some threes, so we could at least set that film to other teams around the league and say, look, this guy can still shoot. It's just not working here in New York. But let me know how you feel about the front office and the offseason acquisitions they've made over the last 2 off seasons.
Yeah, and as our friend Ron Cleveland, we got it from him, front office malpractice. How do you, where all of us a couple of years ago, like, man, they did wonders. Where, we have more cap space, and then you put it on like career journeymen. You use all that money for Taj Gibson, a Nerlens Noel, and Alec Burks, and Derrick Rose on his last legs, and Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker on his last leg, not plural. And it's like, what the hell did you do, man? What did you do? And then after that, so we couldn't have a draft choice because they had to use it for us. We couldn't take Durant. We couldn't take a Tyrese, and we couldn't take somebody because we had to use some of the resources in order to, it was just craziness, man.
And we'll be using more resources, as it says, to get rid of Evan Fournier, because if he's not even playing in garbage minutes, how many contenders are out there that'll be willing to give up anything in order to bring him on? So we probably have to attach like a second-round pick. You would hope that's all it would take.
And I'm a big fan of Tommy Beer's shout out. He does wonderful work. I do think he was remiss in here. I think he should have said we will likely do the same with Fournier ... and Randle. I think he forgot Randle that we may have to give up assets also to get rid of Randle and his contract.
True. I don't disagree with you there. Definitely don't disagree with you there. I was gonna say, well, they didn't bring in Randle initially, but nothing. Forget it. All right, let's see. I was about to defend Randle. I'm about to say, oh no, we're not going there. So I'm gonna put a poll in. I'm gonna ask, what is the worst Leon Rose signing? It's gonna be Fournier, Walker, Rose. Well, Rose was a trade, but I guess we could add the re-signing. We'll add the re-signing. Rose
at $14 million.
Yeah, and then we'll ask. Oh, we'll put Hartenstein too.
Quick shout out to my friend Danette and her husband Anthony. Hope all is well. Glad you guys are feeling better. Had a great stream last night. Enjoyed it. Thank you. Love you guys.
Buzzer Beater says, why is Evan so good for France but sucks for us? Well, there's better comp, I would think, in the NBA as well, because a lot of those European teams, it's not like there are a bunch of NBA players up and down the lineup. For the most part, they might have one or two, some have three, but I think the competition night in and night out is a little bit higher in the NBA than EuroLeague, and also some rule changes, maybe a little bit more comfort with him being, especially the games over there in Europe. Maybe he has a little bit more comfortable with those teams speaking his native tongue. Who knows? I really wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm just grasping at straws here. Foxy, what do you think?
What was the question again? Because I was going through my head where it was like, what bothers me, everything that you were saying is the doctor, the Knicks doctor. I still don't know how they ever signed Kemba Walker when all the orthopedic surgeons were saying his knee, and especially as a point guard, the cuts that you have to make as a point guard, his knee won't hold up. And then you're like, how did they ever sign Nerlens Noel? And you're like, that's crazy. So they signed two guys for money that we had to attach assets that in a well-run organization would have never been signed because they would have flunked the physical.
Yeah, I hear you. And I don't think he's the current leader of the of the department when it comes to being a head doctor, but Roger Hines. I know Mitch just shared a photo of him. He won some sort of award, and I think Mitch shared a photo of him on IG.
Well, he wasn't sharing Kemba Walker, and he wasn't sharing Nerlens Noel being out all those games last year. But yeah, there's just no how do you do those things?
Facts.
And like we said, hey, we just saw Detroit. I would have loved Alec Burks to still be here. He still can shoot, the guy. Everyone's like, hey, Fox, are you serious with Alec Burks? He shot over 40% from three for 2 years. It was Tibbs, again, putting him at point guard in a position he should have never been in the first place. But we gave up, Tibbs, you have to listen to Tibbs. I'm starting to understand Tibbs. Tibbs showed his hand before the season started that this team can't shoot. That's why I'm starting Fournier. The other guys on this team, they can't shoot. So what'd you do? You let go a guy who can shoot, Alec Burks.
Yeah, I won't go that far and say I miss Alec Burks. I would just say if Alec Burks were to stay on this team, it'd have to be without Tom Thibodeau. Because, Alec Burks as the player, I agree with what you said. He can knock down the three. He can create for himself off the dribble. And when needed, he can facilitate and play defense. But with Tom Thibodeau here, you knew he was going to misuse him. Same way he's misusing a lot of the other guys on this team. So in order to keep Alec Burks, we would have had to move off of Tom Thibodeau for it to really benefit the Knicks.
Yeah, and you see how well it's benefited now that he has nobody to shoot.
Yeah, true. But I mean, Tibbs' time here is short, period. So whether he had Alec Burks or not, he was going to get out of here. He's going to get shipped out of here.
So let me ask you a question, my brother. If we get blown the hell out in OKC, I'll ask you and my family in the SV Nation, if we get blown out in OKC, is the Tibbs watch on again?
Tibbs watch never stopped.
I agree, but
interim watch, Q.
Yeah, but when they went to in the Cheesecake Factory for dinner, they were able to delay the inevitable for a couple of days against Kermit. Teams missing their stars and stuff. But now that the reality is setting in, that this is who we are, that do you think, if we get blown out by OKC, what do you think the shit's going to hit the fan?
I think he'll be fired if we lose in an embarrassing fashion tomorrow? It could be, but I think it might take a little bit more, especially since we had the 2 wins to start. So, you're looking at the upcoming games. We have a game against Oklahoma City, game against Portland, game against Memphis, game against Detroit, and then we have Bucks, Dallas, Cleveland, Atlanta. So Wednesday, December 7th, I think by then Tibbs might be canned, especially if we lose some of these games in this tough stretch. Cleveland, Dallas, Milwaukee, Memphis, Portland. Those are 5 games against teams that are more talented than us, and they're all home games. So if we lose those games in embarrassing fashion at home, I could see Tibbs getting relieved of his duties anywhere between now and December 7th.
And especially December 7th, the day that'll live in infamy.
Close to my birthday too, so it'll be a nice little gift.
Yeah,
something new to talk about, especially outside of Tibbs and his tired ass rotations.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
All right, let me close the poll now just to see what everybody says. I know you guys wanted me to add all the above. I apologize, But I think that might have been a cop-out because I think we all can agree all of them have been terrible moves. So let's end the poll, see what we got going on. So Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker lead the group at 52% and 41% respectively. And then we have iHeart rounding it out with 5%. And Derrick Rose, no one really has beef with the Derrick Rose trade and re-signing, so he gets no votes whatsoever, which you can understand, I guess. Derrick Rose is a fan.
I don't know. Now we're not, because now some of us are saying, do you see DSJ, how he's playing with Charlotte? Maybe we gave him up for D Rose. Maybe we should have held on a touch longer with him because he's balling out over there.
I don't think DSJ would have worked out over here, though. I think things.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, but I'm also glad for him. I'm glad that a young man has found his game, and it looks like some of his athleticism has come back, and he's looking smooth, man.
Facts, definitely looking smooth, and looked smooth against us as well. Didn't he almost have a double-double?
Yeah, but the way he made his shot and everything was like, hey, he's realizing his potential. That's all you ask. Some guys do it in their first year, and some guys takes them to hit a couple of places, go around the league a few places for them to finally get it.
And we're talking about the front office, because this front office, there's a lot of decisions that are still going to have to be made at the end of the season, both with free agency and trying to see if we can free up some room to bring additional players on, or moving on from other players that are currently on the roster. And one of the main things that we're going to be keeping an eye on is what's going to happen with our draft picks in the 2023 NBA draft. Now, Foxy, I know you're not as high on this draft as everybody else, but there is, some people that think that this draft is going to be pretty talented and have a lot of guys that could be game changers here in the league. And if you look at the current places where our draft picks would fall if the season ended today, you would see we would have the 13th overall pick, we would have the 16th overall pick coming from Washington, and then we would also have the 21st overall pick from Dallas. So, Foxy, I know we've been discussing potentially moving up to see if we can get, one of these guys that are quote unquote the cream of the crop of this draft. So do you think we would have the requisite draft picks to really make a move and entice a team to move out of that top 10?
No, we learned that lesson last year with Ivy. The only lesson we didn't learn was we didn't go, all right, we couldn't get down to number 3 or get for Ivy and stuff. Let's go after Mathurin. Let's go after Shaden Sharp, who I watched last night, and stuff like that. They didn't do that. So when you're picking, and you can't blame them if a team is poor or bad, and that's the reason they're picking in the 5th or 6th position. It's like, I'll give you the 13th, 16th, and 21st pick for the 5th pick. And we know it's like, you're giving me role players. I want a star. And you know what? Yes, every once in a while you get a star in those areas, but they're far and few between. It's just higher percentage that I'm going to get a star where we need it. So us getting a Derek Whitehead, who finally came back from a fractured foot for his first game with Duke the other day. And also it's going to show a lot about this front office, because there could be players that will put a perfect example is Keontae George of Baylor, a 3-level scorer shooting guard. So will they, if they have an opportunity, go after somebody that maybe be available, let's say at the 9th. So we won't be able to get somebody at the 5th spot, but if we're picking like 13th and we use some of those other assets to move up the 9th, that's a lot more realistic somebody would make that trade. But would they say, hey, here's somebody with a lot more upside than RJ? Would they admit that and make a choice like that? And also there's a couple, the Thompson twins, they're generational athletic, but we'd have to be patient because they can't shoot. They absolutely can't shoot. The one Amon sees the floor well. Osar, they're both, I think, could be dynamite on defense. I think they could be lockdown defenders, but you got to shoot in the NBA. So we may, at 13, if he doesn't pick it up, Amon will go probably in the top 5, but Thompson may be available there. But again, it's like, are we going to pick somebody at that level who basically can't shoot? So you're picking a defensive specialist. And then all the other good players, that's the hardest part of this. Jerash Walker, he's a power forward. Oh, wow. There's so many guys that are power forward. G.G. Jackson is a power forward. I think Cam Whitmore, who has a thumb injury for Villanova, he's young and everything, but he's 240 and he's a kid. I think he's going to mature into a 4. Unless we get rid of Randle, we have 2, Obi can't get minutes now. So what are we going to bring on? Another 4? So we're in a real difficult spot. Are we going to bring on another, point guard? Cason Wallace from Kentucky, I watched. Nice defensively, but he has no burst. He has no first step. We don't want anybody like that. We need an infusion of athleticism on this team, but athleticism that can do some other. You can't shoot. That's why all these people are enamored with the Thompson twins. It's like, are you actually watching them, or are you just watching the mixtapes? Because nobody ever misses on a mixtape. It's like I'm watching the overtime games and I'm like, oh Jesus, man. So it's a real tough draft for us because a lot of and also hopefully the season just started. We're in the infant stage, so we're going to see people come out of nowhere to become players. That they'll be talking about that we want to see. That they could potentially be a pick, but we're a team of role players already. We need better players. I'll use up my quota for the show. We need elite talent.
Yeah, Foxy, you gotta get an elite tattoo somewhere.
Somewhere.
Either that or get a little slogan for it.
Yeah. Hey, I see my guy Nick's Morning Brew. He finally showed up. Hey, heck, we gave you a shout out, but we'll do another one, folks, this Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Yankees Morning Brew. Please check in. Ja Rule will be the guest of Heck, Jigga Man, and Fabulous Phil Porto. So please check out Yankees Morning Brew, 11 a.m. this Wednesday. Do me a favor, check it out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m., not just this Wednesday. It's a great show, great guys.
Yep, salute to them over there. They're definitely doing big things. So we appreciate you tuning in to our live stream, and we want to let everybody know that you guys have a major guest coming in. So everybody make sure you are tuned in for that, right?
Is Ashante going to be on?
Right, if Ashante's going to be on, man, I'm definitely tuned in for that. I might even show up an hour early just to get my seat.
My hair all pretty.
Right? Let's see. Keith would love to have you as a guest one of these days, bro. But yeah, definitely. Just let me know. We'll work something out. Let's see what else we have going on in chat.
Is Tip still, Leon Rose still your agent? Or who should I talk to?
Agent. I can't afford to have an agent right now. I can't be cutting out 2-3%.
Yeah. Buzzer beater.
Is it even more than that as an agent? I don't even know how much an agent costs. 5%? 4%?
I don't know.
I'm glad I don't have those. Well, I'm not necessarily glad I don't have those issues, but let's see what's going on. I don't
know, because usually they have a percentage, but then they introduce them to their business manager and they get a kickback from the business manager by turning them on. So it's a dirty world.
Yeah, crazy, right? We've got a chat from Danette and Anthony. Says, hey, Sports Vibes TV, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. It says, Anthony here, and let me say, if that happens and Tibbs doesn't get fired, we have to ask, is he the secret silent team owner? I think this is when I mentioned the schedule and us getting the breaks off with at home.
Yeah. And I'm mad at Danette and Anthony because they ate pork buns last night that looked so delicious that I was thinking all night about pork buns. So I love you guys, but I hate you too. I want pork buns.
Yeah. Sherwin, salute Sermon. Thank you for pulling up. He says, Amen Thompson is more talented than Cam Reddish. I will be jumping for joy if he falls to the Knicks.
He won't fall to the Knicks unless something crazy happens and the balls, the ping pong balls will work in our way, Sherwin. We may get his brother, Osor, but I don't think we'll get Aim. And he is more athletically talented than Cam, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. He's a better player, much higher defensive upside than Cam, better motor than Cam. And like we said, if he can shoot, forget it. I've never, both of them. I don't know if I've ever seen a better first step than both of them. It's that lightning. I mean, it's electric.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, Foxy. I'm still riding with my guy Cam, but we'll see. All right. So just to get into some more news that's been coming out.
Hey, wait, Minwill Cruz says, "Hey, Foxy, pork buns are not kosher, and neither is my wife. And neither is my wife."
Thank you for that, Foxy. Just to get into some other Knicks news that's kind of been, trickling out here and there. There's been reports that Julius Randle and his trade value is actually going up. So I heard this, and the minute I saw it, somebody sent it to me, and I just responded, "There is a God," and I just had the hands up emoji because this is exactly what we needed to hear as Knicks fans. And we'll get into a little bit more of what they had to say in this article. And it says, this is from Sean Devaney. It says they're better now, quote unquote, the trade value, because they have taken the ball out of his hands more. He has less pressure on him, an executive told Sean Devaney of Heavy.com while analyzing Randle's value and performance this season. He can worry about rebounding and shooting. He does not have to worry about everything. Says the executive added more. He's shooting.
The important parts are coming up, folks.
Yeah, the executive added more. It says he's shooting it better, so that helps. And every time a year comes off that contract, he gets more valuable. So at the end of the year, he might be that much more worth a trade, the executive said. The big thing is defense. That holds him back, and he's kind of taken away from that trade value from what we saw tonight. But hopefully, if he continues to play like we saw when we were able to get that 106-103 victory against the Nuggets, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, against the Nuggets, his value is going to skyrocket if the only issue is defense. If that's the only issue teams around the league see is his defense, then hey, fix that defense and get him out of here. But other than that, I hope his value can continue to rise because we need to move off of Julius Randle if we're going to see what young guys like Obi Toppin can do. Even RJ Barrett. I think RJ Barrett has, I won't say Julius Randle is the reason RJ has been playing like a bum, but I don't think Julius Randle's, I don't think Julius Randle out there on the court is helping RJ Barrett in any way, shape, or form. So hopefully he can continue to get better, and then the team, not get better, but continue to play better, both offensively and defensively, so the team can ship him out of town and bring in somebody else to come help this squad.
Yeah, when he sent me that article, I was reading, I was like, yeah, because we created this thing about trade value because of his last 8 games, him balling Randle. Like, we were like, wow, this is good for his trade value. But I don't know, one general manager who watched the game today could feel comfortable, that part about the defense, the concerns about defense. One thing, like we said, NBA is brutal. You can play great defense and get lit up, but the effort he gave, who wants to bring somebody onto your team like Keith, eloquently said last year, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You just don't know who the hell you're getting game to game. And like I said, one thing is on offense, is he going to go ISO Randle tonight or is he going to play team ball? But how do you trade for somebody with an effort like that on defense, like he showed tonight? That's why I was real happy that he's playing great. Ship him out as fast as you can before he goes south, man.
Yeah, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And what in the article, it says he's shooting it better. I mean, technically, he's shooting it better, but he's shooting 46.1% from the field compared to 41.1% that he shot last year. So technically, he's better, but still not a great field goal percentage. And then from 3, he's shooting 33.3% from the 3-point line this season compared to 30.8% from the 3-point line last year. So quote unquote, he's shooting better. If that's all it takes for opposing teams to be willing to engage in trade talks, then fine. Just step it up on defense and, stop it with the bonehead turnovers, man. Every game he has like 2 or 3 boneheaded turnovers, and it's just like, bro, come on. One play he hustled, dove for the ball, even though he's the one that he got it poked away from him. So he was just making up for his own error, but he dived, got the ball, and then tried to pass it again, and it still got intercepted. So he does a lot of boneheaded stuff out there. Hopefully he can figure it out, get us some more victories, and then we can trade him. But you see what he's done in his last 8 games, heading into today's game. He was averaging 24.9 points per game, 8.6 rebounds per game, 2.9 assists per game, while shooting 49.6% from the field and 40.6% from the 3-point line.
Yeah, I do disagree with RJ. RJ's not playing well because of RJ. I'm not going to put any of that on Julius.
I'm not putting it on Julius. I just said he's not helping him.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not putting that on Julius per se. I'm just saying there's nothing in Julius Randle's game that you would say open things up for RJ.
Yeah, but the thing that bothers us is that you would think his assists have gone down dramatically. And, from the MPP, the most improved player year, or the second team, so what's he doing this year? He's averaging 1-to-1 ratio, 3.2 assists to 3.1 turnovers. That's not winning basketball.
No,
so,
but don't say it too loud, Foxy. Maybe other teams don't notice that, and they'll still reach out to folks, trade.
Take him. He's wonderful. He's great in the locker room. He's the first one in the locker room after a game.
Yeah, he beelines into the locker room. He got to go meditate, I guess, or something.
Yeah, I guess the last game, the guy couldn't go travel with him, his meditation consultant.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll figure out something to do with Julius Randle, because I don't think he's the long-term answer for this Knicks team. I think we need to move on from him, see if we can get some draft compensation or some young players that can factor into our long-term future. But I think right now, continuing to try and build around Julius Randle and trying to make this work with Julius Randle and Tom Thibodeau just is clearly not the route we should be heading in.
And also, like we said, that he's terrible in the paint. He has to get his points from outside. He's like RJ. If he gets too close, he gets blocked. Yeah, and there's guards blocking him, which is embarrassing, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, there's times where it looks like he actually has hops so he can get up, make some dunks. And then other times, it's like he can't leave his feet. Can't get up enough to actually make an athletic move to the basket.
And you see him in the middle of a possession lose confidence. If he doesn't go up on the set, do the first head fake and doesn't go up for his shot, then he's lost his confidence. And it's 1, 2. All right, how do I get rid of the ball? Here comes a turnover. Here me giving the ball to somebody with 3 seconds left on the 24-second clock. They'll put up a bad shot that doesn't reflect in the box score. So there's so many things. He doesn't box out. So we see, like we said, folks, today, 22 offensive rebounds the Phoenix Suns have. How the hell does that happen? Yeah. That happens when you don't box out and you don't fight for the ball.
They had almost half of our total rebound count and just offensive rebounds. We had 39 for the game, and they had 22 offensive.
Exactly.
That's nuts.
Yeah, but like I said also that there was a 30-point difference in threes. We hit 7 and they hit 17. So 10 times 3 is 30 points. You're going to lose every time.
It's definitely hard to win like that. All right, so let's look at the season stats for our New York Knicks squad so far. These are the starters when healthy. Let's just make that bigger for me to see. So Jalen Brunson, he's averaging 19.6 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, and 6.8 assists per game, while shooting 47.7% from the field, 29.7% from 3, and 89.7% from the charity stripe. And Foxy, we had a little bit of a discussion about Jalen Brunson and his 3-point percentage. I shared with you a Twitter thread from Ben, what is it, Holtzman? Rich Holtzman?
Yeah.
Rich Holtzman.
Yeah.
And talking about how he hasn't been getting the same amount of catch and shoot scenarios in order to knock down the three. So that could be one of the reasons why his 3-point percentage isn't as high as we saw it last season. Last season, it was he's at around 37% from the 3-point line. Now we're seeing him shoot more threes off the dribble as opposed to catch and shoot, where he's not as good of a 3-point shooter. So Foxy, anything you've seen from Jalen Brunson with his play so far, and any things you have to add about his 3-point percentage?
Yeah,
and if we should be worried?
I have great respect for Rit, but he took he took 3.2 threes last year, and he's taking 4 this year. So it's not like he's going 3 crazy like we've seen with Julius recently, like way too many threes in his mix. So he's shooting less than 1 more 3 than he did with Luka. But, what Keith and I talked about when we went over the stuff in the lab is the big difference is he shot a lot more corner threes last year, than he is this year. So they're not really running the scheme where he's a very good corner 3 shooter. And he's not shooting. He's only shooting at a 25% clip versus a 50% clip last year. But he's getting it at like 10 to like 11% less opportunities to shoot corner threes this year. So you would think that maybe they'd scheme, Randle kicking it out, RJ kicking it out, somebody kicking it out to him for that corner three. They're not doing that. So I do think by the end of the season he'll pick it up, but it's not, he's not going crazy from threes, shooting basically the same amount of threes he did with Luka. They're just a different part of the court, and they're just not falling this year.
Yeah, Jay Bookie had a pretty interesting comment just now. He says, I'm watching Kevin Knox lighting the building up, him and Burks. Well, I looked at the box score. Kevin Knox is lighting it up. He's shooting 4 or 6 from the field, 3 or 4 from the three-point line. He has 11 points. But I wouldn't say Alec Burks is lighting it up. He's shooting 4 of 11 for 14 points. So, Jay Boogie, I'll give you Knox is lighting it up, but I can't give you Alec Burks is lighting it up.
It's one more basket than RJ, 3 for 11.
Right?
And it's $108 million less.
That is true. That is true. You can see Cam Reddish. He's averaging 9.3 points per game, 1.9 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, and 0.7 turnovers. He's shooting 45.4% from the field and 32.7% from the three-point line. That three-point percentage has dropped pretty quickly. He was shooting close to 40 a few games ago, if I'm not mistaken, no?
Yeah, but that's why when we were talking earlier about, Cam shooting, you're talking Cam now, right?
Mm-hmm, Cam.
Yeah, that he's a good bad, but as the games went on, I was expecting this to go in the 20s. But, you and I from Cleaning the Glass showed from the day he came into the NBA, he's not been a good shooter. The only place a little that he's not been bad is 3, but he was just league average. So, but the thing, like I said, that bothers me is like everybody could see there's only 1 assist. There's not much on rebounding. So you want to see those other elements to his game at that size, but I hope he comes back healthy. I hope he gets a longer run to, again, he didn't play a lot last year, so he still, was knocking off some rust, getting to know, some of the turnovers with Brunson and stuff was with Cam going this way and Brunson throwing the ball that way, that they're still out of sync. So I hope he comes back. But like I said, it's like a hammy to me, groin injuries. They're just lingering. They flare up. And because of the nature of the game, especially if you're guarding, putting him on the top defenders, the stop, the violent cuts that they're doing, that's not good for groin injuries at all.
Yeah, that's why I flared up against Steph. That's, trying to stick with him, going through screens, the constant running nonstop. It's hard, takes a toll on the body. So hopefully Cam can figure it out and get healthy. But I wanted to just pivot real quick. Knicks 100 a game. He says IQ needs to be benched, not Evan. He says you cut that IQ nonsense for a few games, you'll see crystal clear what the problem is. So we were able to pull up a tweet from Tommy Bear that gets into
that's a great thing. It's a beautiful segue
of IQ especially on defense. So let me put that on screen now we can discuss. So Tommy Bear had this to say. Heading into last night's game, in the 331 minutes Quickley has logged this season, New York has allowed 101.8 points per 100 possession. In the 399 minutes the team played without IQ on the court, New York allowed 119.5 points per 100 possessions. That's a staggering difference of 17.7 points. So I know IQ hasn't been solid in terms of his offensive production, but one thing IQ has definitely done is he's stepped up his game defensively. And, you look at RJ, and we're giving RJ hell about his poor shooting when Quickley has been shooting just as poorly. But the thing is, Quickley has really stepped up his game defensively, and he's still a benefit to the team out there on the court, even when his shot isn't falling. And that's something that we haven't seen from RJ. If RJ's shot isn't falling, the defense isn't exactly as good as we would like. He's not doing other things out there on the court for us, as opposed to Emmanuel Quickley, who we can see when he's not out there on the court, the team is giving up a staggering difference of 17.7 points per possession. And I think that really just speaks as to how good this team is playing when Emmanuel Quickley is out there, especially defensively. So Foxy, anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, he's pretty much the only defender, stopping point of attack. Everyone gets blown by. RJ gets blown by. Brunson gets blown by. He has very good lateral, his footwork and everything for his lateral quickness. He got strong. He's shredded, man. He worked hard in the weight room, so he has the strength he didn't have in his rookie year. He has that great wingspan. So yeah, the numbers don't lie here. Shout out again to Tommy Beer. That's staggering. Like he said, a 17-point difference. So he's very, very valuable. We just have to be patient that his offensive game comes around. But he's solid. For a terrible game tonight, folks, like we said, it was just a -1 on plus minus, while you had other people, and that -1 has to do because of that defensive intensity. So we just have to say Hail Mary full of grace that his offensive game will come in place, that'll come around, and it's crazy because he's shooting so much less. He's shooting so poorly that I'm shocked. I thought even in a slump, I thought he'd shoot better than he's shooting this year.
Yeah, and if you ever want to get a real idea of how well Emmanuel Quickley is playing defense, just look at the closing possession against the Nuggets, where he was able to lock up Jamal Murray. That was elite level defense from Emmanuel Quickley in a situation where we needed it the most. Because Jamal Murray, he could have knocked down the three and he could have sent this game to overtime, and who knows if we would have had enough to hold off the Nuggets in OT. So if you want to see how impactful Emmanuel Quickley has been on defense, just look at that last possession against the Nuggets. And also, if you want to see how impactful Cam Reddish has been on defense, look at that same possession and watch the defense he played as well. Didn't allow Jamal Murray to have an outlet to get the ball up to get a good shot. He played great denial. I think it was against Highland. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's who he was guarding in that possession. So just watch that last possession and see how those two guys play defense.
It was a fantastic example, my friend. That was like the personification of why he's valuable. And that's the personification why the Knicks were getting phone calls about his availability, because his motor's never a question. And his defense is fantastic. And like we said, he's a young guy. If that offense comes around to a different level or shows flashes that he showed as a rookie, now that he's at this defensive level and everything else, that's a guy that championship teams look for.
Yeah, let me see. UBG says he only plays good in the Euro League. I'm assuming that's Fournier. Big Lou says, Brother J Boogie, we have to get rid of Tibbs first and see if that is the start of improvement before making trades. But I want Randle gone. That's true. We need to see how this team operates without Tom Thibodeau as the man in charge, just to see if, process of elimination. Was Tom Thibodeau really the biggest issue? Well, we'll be able to see that if we move on from him, allow somebody like Johnny Bryant to get the reins and coach up the team the way he would. And if we see a dramatic improvement, then that would lead us to believe that Tom Thibodeau was probably the main issue. Now, if this team continues to struggle, then you can say, all right, maybe it's more than just Tom Thibodeau. Then we have to start to look at the front office and see if any major changes have to be done there. But you have to start making some changes with this staff in order to find out what is the crux of the issue. And I think continuing to try out the same coaching staff and allowing Tom Thibodeau to have his same rotations and see if he'll figure it out is not going to lead us or get us the solution that we so desperately need. And we need to find it out ASAP, because time is ticking on Obi Toppin's contract. Time is ticking on Emmanuel Quickley's contract, and we have a lot of decisions that we need to make, and we need to make sure we have all the information available to us before we make those decisions. And we won't be able to be in that position until we move off from Tom Thibodeau and see how these guys look with a modern coach putting them in positions to succeed.
Exactly. My friend Anthony says there seems to be a whole host of things wrong, and it all comes down, you're right, Anthony, it all comes down to roster construction. This is a wing-based league. You can't have somebody, RJ, he's just, he's slow. And that's not where the NBA is today. You look at Jaylen Brown, you look at Jason Tatum, you look at the wings that you have to, you look at our team, you don't get Jalen Brunson where you could watch, if you watched him in Dallas, I'm not worried about Jalen Brunson because Dallas made the finals of the Western Conference last year. So they knew how to hide him and take advantage of his success. But if you put certain players next to Brunson, then you're not helping him. You're putting him in situations. So, but this, and I feel badly, Keith loves the New York Giants, and the great legendary Parcells said when he was actually with New England that you want me to cook the dinner, but you won't let me buy the groceries. I've never seen a front office give players who are so un-Tibbs-like during his reign here. Kemba would never be a Tibbs player, especially in this part of his career because of his leg injuries. He's a defensive-minded coach, and some of the guys that you've given him are slow, heavy leg players. Fournier is a heavy leg player. Randle's a heavy leg player. RJ is a heavy leg player. That's not where the NBA, it's a perimeter. How are we supposed to have a perimeter defense with heavy leg guys? So it's roster construction. So, Anthony, you're right. There is a whole host of things wrong.
Yeah, we got a few things going wrong with this team, but hopefully, James Dolan will figure it out, move off of the front office, move off of the head coach, and we'll have some new guys come in here and actually, right the ship. And Foxy will be live on Wednesday, correct? Doing a nice little special for you guys where we'll be talking about some of the, GMs, some of the presidents of operations that the Knicks could target in order to try and right the ship. So we'll give you an extensive list of all of the young GMs in the league, young coaches that could be available for us if we do decide to move off of Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau. So make sure you guys are tuned into that and you're subscribed and you have notifications set to all. That way you're notified when Foxy and I go live this Wednesday to discuss the potential options. It should be a real interesting show, and hopefully it's extremely informative for you guys because I'm learning a lot myself just doing the research.
Yeah, how to fix the Knicks. A lot of people, this one, that one, this one. We're coming at it. We're doing the work of a solution. We're actually putting out solutions there of how to turn this team around.
Big Lou says, what time are you on? We'll be on at 4. That works for you, Foxy?
Works for me.
All right, so 4 p.m. Eastern. We got to make sure I say that. 4 p.m. Eastern here on Sports Vibes TV. Make sure you guys are tuned in for the How to Fix the Knicks special. Got a nice ring to it, too. How to Fix the Knicks.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, somebody has to try.
Yeah, right? Shoot, I'll do it for free, man. I just want to see the team win. You ain't even got to pay me the big bucks. I'll intern.
Yeah. You, me, George, JD, SV Nation. Hell, I think we could run this team and make better draft choices than Trevor Keels.
I mean, I'm not going to go too hard about the draft picks. I think we've made decent draft selections. I might be questioning the decision to move back, but even though we moved back to certain situations, we still got solid we still drafted solid players. So I'm not too upset about how we've moved in the draft in terms of the players we've drafted. I'm just upset that we haven't been more aggressive in trying to get more elite talent here. So whoever runs the draft I wouldn't be upset with keeping them and allowing them to continue to help us make draft decisions. But in terms of what we've done in free agency, what we've done in terms of the overall strategy in order to build a championship contender, I'm upset with the way we've gone, the route that we've taken.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's just go back to the starters. I'm sorry that I had to, digress a little bit, but Knicks 100 a game, he had a pretty interesting comment. So, like we say, you guys are the third co-host of the show. So if you guys send us in a direction that's pretty interesting, we'll tend to follow along and get to the bottom of it. So Knicks 100 a game. Thank you for that segue. We greatly appreciate it. Now, just to get back into the starters, let's look at RJ Barrett. Oh, man, look at those shooting numbers. Golly. 39 points.
The whole starting lineup. This is exactly what Tibbs said before the season started. I want to start Fournier because this team can't shoot.
Yeah. I mean, 39.5% from the field. He's not cracking 40% from the field, which is abysmal. 25% from the three-point line. Now, this is the season, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a snippet from the season. This is not a 5-game stretch, 3-game stretch. This is what he's shooting for the season. So 25% from the field, 75.6% from the charity stripe, and that allows him to average 18.3 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, and 2.1 turnovers. So almost a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. It's it's brutal, especially when you're shooting this poorly from the field and you're not playing top level defense. And it's crazy because he comes into the season talking all that tough stuff, saying he's going to be a better defender,
all NBA player.
Yeah, like where?
Put that in for my incentives. You're leaving that money on the table.
What's the proper term? Unlikely to. What's the unlikely to convey? What's the term that they put in the contracts when you have a incentive that's highly unlikely you're going to achieve them?
Oh, I know what you're saying, but
I forgot the proper term. But all those all NBA and all first team accomplishments that he has to hit, those are going to be highly unlikely incentives. Yeah,
and they ran with it. It's like that kid will never hit that. We're saving money.
Yeah, let's throw that in there.
This is only $108 million contract. We ain't gonna ever pay the 120.
Right? You want $10 billion if you make an All-Star game? Oh yeah, that ain't happening. Throw that in there. Put that in there. Especially with the way he's playing, it's not gonna happen one bit.
Well, he made the All-Star game, but unfortunately, he was in Taiwan with Dwight Howard.
Oh man. Yeah, so it's likely versus unlikely bonuses. So you have the likely bonus and you have an unlikely bonus.
Yeah, but it's scary. You look at Brunson, his assists to turnovers, folks. Then look, everyone else is pretty much 1-to-1 ratio.
Yep, throughout this team.
It's like wow. No wonder we're at this this mark right now.
Yep, you look at Julius Randle heading into the game. He's been averaging 21.3 points per game, 8.8 rebounds per game, and 3.2 assists per game. Foxy, you mentioned his assist numbers are down, which to me I think is reasonable, seeing that we have a legitimate point guard now on this team. But what we don't like is the assists came down, but the turnovers remain the same, which is perplexing because you would think the assists are going to come down. Doesn't have the ball in his hands as often because he has a legitimate point guard, but yet he's still turning over the ball left, right, and center. So, I mean, it's kind of working.
He can't help himself going ISO.
Yeah.
So that's when the turnovers come. So every time he gets the ball, you're like, hey, Wally, I love Wally Szczerbiak. Wally Szczerbiak last year said something epic. He said, anytime Julius Randle dribbles more than 2 times, a turnover is around the corner. And I guess Julius never saw that show.
Yep, 2 dribbles, he'll jump in the air to try to pass and get caught up and boom, turnover.
Yeah, he's a nowhere land. How many times have we seen him that nowhere land?
Another person, I talked to you about that off air. I sent George and a video, or not a video, but a photo of, I think it was players and how many offensive and defensive points per possession they're accounting for, or whatever the case may be. And you look at those axes or those graphs, and if you're at the bottom left-hand corner, that means you're terrible both on offense and defense. And the one person that's there sitting there smiling at us is freaking RJ Barrett. I'll see if I can pull up the actual photo so I can show you guys, that way you know what I'm talking about. But if not, I'll show it on the Wednesday live stream. But no man's land, that's definitely not someplace you want to be.
Yeah.
All right, let's head back and talk about iHeart. I mean, you've already eaten iHeart enough. You had a lot of slander for him.
I don't call it slander. I call it just the reality of his play.
Call it the truth.
The truth.
Facts.
Like I said, as a fan, I'm compassionate. These are young men. I want the heart. But as an analyst, I'm, merciless. I'm just saying.
Which is an understatement, Foxy.
Just meaning I'm calling it what the numbers say, and people may not like it, like you're overly critiquing them. It's like the numbers don't lie, and neither do my eyes.
I hear you on that one. Yeah, the eye test never fails. All right, so for the season, iHeart is averaging 7 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, only 0.8 assists per game, which is unfortunate.
A crime.
Especially seeing as how good of a passer he is. Maybe if Tibbs actually used iHeart a lot better, maybe we don't have as, negative of a viewpoint of how he's played to start the season. But the three's not falling. He's not really finding guys cutting to the basket as we had expected. to come into the season. And defensively, you know, I mentioned that he wasn't that great of a defender, and people were killing me. Talking about, oh, he's number one in the league.
Yeah, there were a couple of people in the Knicks. Yeah, there were a couple of people in the Knicks fandom that were like saying stuff about him. I'm like, who the hell is? I watched all these games at Clippers. What are you talking about? So, absolutely, man. iHeart is a backup center. And like I said, I'd rather watching Celtic games this year. I'd rather still have Luke Cornett than iHeart. At least Luke Cornett is shooting 33% from three.
Knocked down a three at a higher clip. Yeah. What is iHeart shooting right now? What does it say? 25% from three.
Yeah, but that's misleading because he took 16 shots all year. So he had 4 out of 16.
He took one today, didn't he? Let me pull up the box score.
Did he miss that one or did he drain it?
I think he made it. Let me pull up the box score again.
iHeart, and now he went 0 for 0 today from 3.
Oh, he didn't. So what was the last game he shot the 3?
The last game he made it, yeah.
All right.
So that means he's still shooting 25% from 3. Yo.
Salute to him.
You know what? He's just as good as RJ Barrett.
Here Foxy goes. All right, so let's look at the bench real quick. See what the bench has been doing. So Derrick Rose, unfortunately, he got injured today, but he was averaging 6.8 points per game, 1.6 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, only averaged 1 turnover a game, and he was shooting 40% from the field roughly, and he was shooting 36.6% from the 3-point line, and he's knocked down all his free throws, so I guess that's a positive. Kudos to him for that.
He took only 10 so far this year.
Took only 10, which is, you would think he'd get
10 for 10 cool.
To the line, though. I would think, at least I would hope that he'd be better at drawing fouls. I think that's a big part of his game that definitely helped him unlock certain things out there on the court, the ability to draw fouls, be aggressive driving. I mean, we've seen some of it, but we haven't seen as much as we've seen in prior years.
Yeah. You know, Keith and I love mixed martial arts. And there's a lot of times when you see older fighters that you idolize and you see them and all of a sudden you see in their head, like, throw the left, but the left's not going. And it's the same thing with D Rose. And sometimes you look on his face where he has this look on his face where his brain's saying go left and the body's like a half a second behind. Not like the old days where it was instantaneous, where he would just do these things where it's like, the age is showing, and it's a shame. You hate, you can't fight Father Time. He's the only undefeated person out there, and it's coming to D Rose, and it's coming even worse to D Rose on defense. So you do see flashes on offense, but still, he has a 2-to-1 ratio on assists to turnover, which is great, but he had higher than that historically. It's still a short sample, though, for the season, but, it's terrible for the guy, for his type of game, to have a toe injury.
Yeah. And who knows? Those toe injuries stick with you throughout the season.
Yeah, I have a turf toe on my right foot, and that thing it's like a chronic injury, man. It just doesn't go away.
Yeah, it just doesn't go away. So hopefully he'll be able to overcome. I mean, if not, next man up. We've got Deuce. Deuce is solid. Quentin Grimes, he's available. He's shown the ability to facilitate a little bit. So at least you have him out there with a guy like Quickley with that second unit. You have another ball handler out there that can help, alleviate any type of pressure Quick might have by being the only legitimate, ball handler or playmaker out there on the court.
Grimes will be this year's Burks.
but at least, Grimes came into college as a point guard, so he has the experience. It's just he didn't have the handle and he didn't necessarily have the foot speed to kind of, make it as a point guard. But I think he has at least the vision or the understanding of the position. He keeps his head up,
unlike RJ. You saw him a couple of, the dimes today, and you saw in summer league and stuff. He sees the floor nice with more reps and everything. I definitely see him having a nice assist thing and his handle. So, yeah, I think he's more natural of a point guard than Alec Burks, although he did play some point guard at Colorado, Alec Burks. But that was about 403 years ago.
Facts. So I just want to put on screen the graph I was telling you about. I saw this over on Reddit, and you can see this is total points added. Total points added and total defensive points saved. And as you can see, RJ Barrett is down here at the bottom. So offensive points added, the far right would be better. And then defensive points saved, the top of the graph is better or positive. And you can see RJ Barrett with the red underline is in no man's land. He's not adding a lot of points offensively, and he's not saving us any points defensively out there on the court. So this was what I was mentioning when I said no man's land. RJ Barrett right there in no man's land. Foxy, were you aware of this graph before I put it on screen?
Well, in my head I was, but not with this. I'm laughing because even Caruso's laughing at him.
Caruso's been struggling offensively, boy.
But he's still at a higher rate.
At a higher clip, which is nuts to think about. So just wanted to let you guys be aware of what's going on with RJ and how putrid he's been so far to start the season. And, you know, I've been a big supporter of RJ, and I still think he can be a solid player in the league, but you got to give me something to work with, man. I can't sit here and say that you're going to be a legitimate piece for this team long term when you're stinking up the joint like you have so far to start the season. And I know, quote unquote, he's a slow starter, but I mean, we're almost 20 games into the season. We can't. How long does it take for it to be considered a slow start? At this point, he's having a slow season, period.
Yeah,
the start in the first 5 games.
Yeah, and like we said on defense, he gets, they just blow past him. He doesn't have, he's not the athlete to have recovery speed. Once they have a step on him, it's over. He has to rely that there's a Mitch, and it hasn't been there, that there's a second line of defense, there's some help defense. So he just, no matter who it is, he's getting beat brutally now.
And that's why I like Cam, because Cam has the size to recover and the foot speed to recover. So even when Cam isn't playing great at the point of attack, he still finds ways
that wingspan can come from behind and
strip or stay in the play. With RJ gets caught up on the screen, he's done.
It's over.
RJ gets driven by, it's done. It's over.
And also, if you watch folks' technique, he's standing up, but he's not down in a crouch. So when you have an unathletic player who's not a twitch athlete standing up like that, he's going to get toasted. Yeah, you not in this league, man. You're going to get toasted by a third string guy.
Yeah, so hopefully RJ can figure it out. Like I said, I'm still a fan of his game. I'm still a fan of him. I don't know about his game.
Yeah, like we said, he's a young man. We wish the best for all of these people. We don't wish bad on them. But in your 4th year, we know that development is not linear, but you want to see things added to the game. And it's like everybody's like, okay, what's going to happen if what happens if RJ gets the ball? He's going to dribble a couple times between his legs. Then he's going to go left. And if he does go right, he's going to spin after one dribble back to his left. Mm-hmm. And that's it. So that's his game. He's going to go left 100% of the time. And if he goes right, he's going to spin. Get to his left. Exactly. So,
and if it's not the spin, it's the little euro or the step through.
and if it hasn't learned, now it's coming to a thing like, wow, it's an IQ thing also, because you got your shot blocked 86 times 2 years ago. You got to block 105 times last year, and now you're on a rate to have like 115 or 20. Doesn't it occur to you to maybe to get a little midi or a floater that you're like, I'm not going to take that extra dribble because then I'm in the land of the Giants and I'm going to get my shot blocked, or I'm going to take a shot that's going to miss. No, he continually still does it. And you're like, you're in your 4th season. Haven't you learned something? Or most of all, we just talk about his assist. Kick it out. Kick it out to somebody who has a better, they converged on you, fine. But how many times have we seen him go 1-on-3 this year? Where we're like, oh, what are you doing? That's a selfish play. We're like saying, because of the framing of the television, we're like, yo, he's all alone on the right. You didn't pass him. What's up with that, RJ? You're a fine young man, but you're showing things of selfishness. I didn't think that was in your DNA, but it is in his DNA.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how thrilled he is that Cam pulled up, and Cam is starting to get a lot of support from fans, especially some support in taking over RJ's position as the young guy that we put all our resources in to develop.
I love you, because I was going to say, if he didn't get hurt and he played and got into his rhythm, the Knick Nation, SV Nation would be saying, we gave the contract to the wrong guy.
I mean, we just
gave RJ's contract. RJ's contract to Cam, but now we have Jalen Brunson under contract. We have RJ under contract. We have Randle under contract. We have Mitch under contract. So, Kev Giggles, I don't know if he's in the thing today, but he wrote a thing the other day like, who are you to say you're, we're not going to pick up Derrick Rose's contract next season, and you're not a front office guy. And I'm like saying, would you rather have Cam or a 35-year-old Derrick Rose? So you'd rather pick up a $14 million contract for Derrick Rose than to sign Cam Reddish? What are you, crazy? Even Cam going through these things, I'd still rather give some burn to Cam that he could finally go injury-free and realize his potential. So we're tied up. So that great information that Keith brought up a couple of minutes ago, that in 2021 we had all this cap space, and then it was used on the wrong players.
Pissed it away.
Now we're tied to Brunson for the next few years, and I have no problem with that. He's a quality guy, but you have to know the good parts and the bad parts, so you can bring a complementary piece like you brought up, like Quinn Grimes next to him that does that, and then go from there. But it's like, yo, what the hell are you doing?
Facts. D-Nice77 says, what exactly does he do well? Talk to the media. He's great at that. RJ.
But even at that, there's no energy when he talks to the media.
I mean, hey, if you're trying to make sure you don't make too many waves and speak to the media, that's perfect media training. You're not trying to do too much when you speak to the media.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Well, he's doing with the media what he does on the court, not too much.
Not too much. Facts. Let's see what else we got going on here.
Yeah, Soul Train says, hey, the salary goes up soon, Foxy. 2025 is an eternity away, man.
Yeah, we got to get there, too. I'm not trying to stink up the joint until then.
Yeah, people are like, do you realize that RJ's contract will only represent 13% of the cap in 2025? Yo, we got 67 or something more games to go this year, which is like pulling teeth. And now you're telling me to wait to 2025 where his contract won't be feeling so bad.
Kaiser Soze 718 says we got to draft and hope we hit so we can cycle out these players that aren't it. Well, we do got a boatload of draft picks, and I think drafting is one thing that we can say this front office has been solid at. At least let me not speak for you, Foxy. You can comment. I'm a fan of what they've done draft-wise.
Yeah.
Maybe not moving back or just completely hitting a mulligan on not necessarily a mulligan, but just saying you don't want no part of last year's draft and trading out. That I'm not too big of a fan of. But when we actually make draft selections, I do like the guys that we pick, whether it be Rokas or Deuce in the second round, Jericho Sims in the second round as well. A lot of our late picks are actually guys that are players that you can look at and say, all right, I can see you part of an NBA rotation. That's not something you can say about a lot of teams in the league where they're continually hitting either on late first round picks or, second round picks. So that's one thing I do got to give them kudos for. Yeah,
absolutely. But, people say, we hit on IQ, but he shot 39% for his first 2 years. His defense has come up a whole lot, but he's shooting less than league average from three. He's a great foul shooter. So, he's good for a 25th pick. And, and Grimes, he's been injured. He showed glimpses today that, but can he stay healthy? He missed 36 games last year. So, Jericho Sims is a 58th pick. And you're like, yeah. But you and I are like saying, you pick Rojas at 34 and you pick Deuce at 36. And the Pelicans picked Herb Jones at 35, who's the lockdown defender that we've been waiting for a long time. So we see these other guys. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm focusing on wings for this team in the draft, folks. So Terrence Arsenault on a wing, 6'8" wing. I'm looking for 3-and-D guys. Terrence Arsenault from Houston, Julian Phillips from Tennessee. I'm bringing up guys that are going to be in the 13, 15, or 21 range that Keith brought up earlier. Obviously, they're not going to be lottery guys, but, somebody that we could potentially that are athletic, that have talent, that could be complementary on something that's missing from this team. If this front office freaking drafts another 6'4" or less player like a Trevor Keels, I'll scream. If you look at IQ, Rojas, Deuce, Grimes, Keel, all they draft, this is a league of 6'8" more. So other than the only other guys in G League is Farron Hunt. That's a 6'8" guy with a 7-foot wingspan. Why aren't they drafting? And and also you see guys like Keldon Johnson. They nurtured him in G League. We grew up with Starks. We grew up with Anthony Mason, guys that weren't high draft choices that were nurtured and came in and became viable. When was the last time that the Knicks had a player that we nurtured in the G League that became a viable player?
Can't tell you.
I know, and it bothers me greatly. It's like, come on, what is wrong with this organization? And, development is everything about your future.
Yeah, one thing we haven't done, I think, is done a great job developing young guys. You look at RJ, he's continuing to struggle. Year 4, Obi, he's worked on his shot, but he still hasn't, I think, been impactful enough to actually wrestle some minutes away from Julius Randle, because, occasionally he can be inconsistent either with the jump shot or with his defense. So that's one thing. Emmanuel
and his
Quickley,
rebounding is soft.
And his rebounding, correct. And Emmanuel Quickley, same thing with them. I think Tibbs has been trying a little bit too much to have him play both the on ball and off ball, as opposed to giving him a defined role and telling him to focus and trying to be the best he can be at that, which has kind of made Quick, I think a little bit too much out there on the court. I think somebody mentioned it in chat. I wish I could give you a shout out, but someone mentioned that it doesn't look like Quick is having as much fun out there on the court as we've seen him in previous seasons. So I think that's definitely some truth behind that.
Especially after that article dropped from Shams a couple days ago.
Even past that article, the fact that he was kind of dangled in trade talks, even in the offseason, I think that was something that I think played a part in to why he had a slow start to this season.
Yeah, but also maybe that's good, because you know what? Then maybe you're not meant for New York, because that's what New York's all about. Mm-hmm. You got to have somebody that's Teflon, man. It just rolls off.
Yeah, let's see what else we got going on. D-Night77 says this front office tried to trade RJ, traded for Cam, and drafted Grimes. Hopefully they make the right decision. Yeah, I mean, with the way RJ's playing, I wouldn't be upset with Cam being elevated as that starting 3 on the team, and then have Quentin Grimes as a starting 2. I think that alleviates a lot of the issues we have defensively, and then you have a better shooter in Quentin Grimes. And up until now, Cam Reddish has been a better shooter than RJ Barrett. So we still have shooting with that starting lineup, and we upgrade defensively.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, folks, please hit that like. Please hit that subscribe. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. If you haven't, as we always say, it's the one-stop shop for Knicks news, rumors, and analysis. Please turn on that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content. And again, check us out for a special show this coming Wednesday. We know you'll love it. We work behind the scenes. If you can't make the show live, shout out to the replay gang. We love chopping it up with all the comments. Shout out to the best mods on the planet. We appreciate all you do.
Yep. Silver Surface says Grimes taking IQ's spot. He played point guard in college, right? He played point guard in high school and came into college as recruited as a point guard, but he ended up getting moved. When he point?
Yep. Houston did the bringing him like a Frankenstein monster, took him from a point guard to make him a 3-and-D.
Mm-hmm. And now the Knicks are going to try to reverse it. And then we wonder why things don't work out for us in the long run.
I like Cam's temperament. I like guys that Sims, you don't know if we're up by 20 or down by 20. I love that. The same thing with Brunson. I like guys like that.
Their demeanor. Yeah, we look like we have a debate in the chat as to whether or not who's better, Cam or Quentin. Me, I'm in the Cam camp. Foxy, make your allegiances known now.
For what position?
Period. Who's the better player?
I'm
just messing with you.
I'm gonna, it's a hard question only because the sample size is so little for Grimes that
for Cam as well in the Knicks jersey at least.
Yeah, but I'll go with Quentin.
All right, so I got Cam, you got Quentin, and they're battling back and forth in the chat.
Yeah, and the deciding factor why I went with Quentin, I love his motor.
The motor?
You know, I don't know what motor I'm getting with Cam on game to game.
I hear you on that one. We actually have 100 in chat. We appreciate that. It fluctuates, but when I looked, it was 100, so that's what we're running with. Only got 59 likes. Let's see what we can do about getting that a little bit higher. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been a pretty long stream. We've been on for about 2.5 hours, longer than I had anticipated, but we had a lot that we had to get off our chest. So thank you guys for tuning in and chopping it up with us. We're not done just yet. We do got a few more players that we want to discuss, but I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, hurry up because my bladder was about 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, my fault. So let's finish the last few guys here on the bench. You've got Quentin Grimes. He's averaging 2.2 points per game, 0.5 rebounds per game, 0.3 assists per game, 0.3 turnovers per game. Of course, this is in limited time. He's been dealing with an injury and he's been in and out of the rotation.
But I'd like to go with today's box score, 10, 5, and 8.
You can go with that too. If he can continue to keep... Oh, you threw me off for a second because I'm used to points, assists, and rebounds. You said 10, 5, and 8. I was going to say he had 8 rebounds. When? Oh, he had 8 assists. But that's neither here nor there. So, yeah.
No, 10. Yeah, he had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, yeah.
Yeah, but when you said it, I took the... I think of it typically as points, assists, and rebounds. When I heard the 5 and then the 8, I thought it was assists and rebounds. But again, neither here nor there. He's shooting 40% from the field, 33.3% from the three-point line, and he's shooting 100% from the charity stripe. So Quentin Grimes had a great performance today. Hopefully he can build off of it. And, you know, we've been having conversations here about potentially starting Cam and Quentin Grimes. So hopefully Grimes can continue to add to that momentum and make this a difficult decision. You know, I want Tom Thibodeau to look at Quentin Grimes, look at Cam Reddish and say, these two guys have been playing their best basketball as of late, and we have to come to a tough decision as to who is going to be the starter for this squad. And if you look at them and you start to look at other players in that starting lineup and think they may be a little bit more worthy to start in their place, then I think that's definitely a discussion that needs to be had, especially with the way that the starters have been performing recently. So shout out to Quentin Grimes for having a great game in his return, and hopefully he can build upon it.
Let me ask you a question. If that came to fruition where we started Grimes and Cam on the starting team and put RJ on the second, do you think RJ could recover emotionally from that demotion?
I think RJ is a pretty headstrong player. I think he can recover if he were to get demoted, especially if he's not playing well. I think where players, especially young guys, start to have some issues is when things happen, you know, whether it be a demotion or things like that, and there's really no explanation as to why. There's no understanding from that player as to why whatever's happening is being done to them. So if you look at the way RJ Barrett has played recently, he should understand, hey RJ, you're not doing it for us. We're going to make a change to the starting lineup, and if at some point you start to play better, then maybe we can have another discussion about reintroducing you to the starting lineup. But it's hard to have you as a starter when you're shooting so poorly. Let's go back to the starters for the stats for the starters. He's shooting 39.5% from the field and 25% from the charity stripe. I mean, we've been talking about starters this whole season and about Evan Fournier being replaced. One reason I didn't want Emmanuel Quickley to be inserted over Cam Reddish is because Emmanuel Quickley had poor shooting numbers. So I would say let's continue to have him with the second unit where he's going up against weaker opponents so he can try to get into a rhythm offensively. I can't say that about Emmanuel Quickley and then continue to support RJ Barrett when he's shooting just as poorly, if not worse. And, you know, maybe he can get it together if he's going up against second units and being able to run that unit there. But me personally, I feel like RJ Barrett is headstrong enough to understand why he would be getting benched. And I think he has enough motivation and enough of a personality that he can get into the gym and try to, you know, earn that spot back. And maybe it might work out for him in the long run where he's getting that motivation to kind of up his game and try to perform better out there on the court. Because right now, the status quo is not cutting it. And I can't really see anything that can say, all right, this is going to jumpstart RJ Barrett and get him to the point where we need him to be.
Yeah, the big difference between Tibbs and Pops is Pops would do that. He wouldn't think twice about putting RJ on the second team. Basically saying, you got to show me that you want it on both sides of the thing.
Facts.
But also, I'm worried that he was a number 3 pick. and that it's an admission of guilt or that they made a mistake. If they put him on the second team, then all of a sudden it's like we're admitting that he's not it. He's not the guy.
That's not true, because Harrell gets paid more and Harrell comes off the bench.
He wasn't a number 3 pick.
Doesn't matter. This front office, I think D-Night 77 is the one that is mentioned it in the chat. This front office didn't draft him. So it's not going to be the front office's fault if he doesn't pan out. They just paid him. They didn't draft him. So if Tyler Harrell can get paid and come off the bench for more, then RJ Barrett can definitely get paid less and come off the bench. Especially if this front office ain't draft his ass. Bench.
They may not have drafted his ass, but they paid his ass.
Yeah, but I'm saying they paid less than what Harrell was getting. Even Jordan Poole, they got paid less than Poole, and Poole coming off the bench. So if those two guys can come off the bench, you can legitimately make an argument that RJ Barrett can come off the bench for less. No?
Maybe we'll agree to disagree on this one.
No problem. I hear you on that one. No problem. All right, let's see what else we got going on in chat. Keith Turner says, now Sims is my guy. I love that kid. He's a dog. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jericho Sims, especially after seeing him in person and seeing what he can do out there on the court in terms of his athleticism, his ability to jump, his activity out there on the court. You know, he's able to switch out there on the perimeter and stay in front of guys. You know, he's not perfect. There are still some things he has to work on, especially like you said, staying on his feet and not being, faked out and things like that. But it's definitely a good start, especially for somebody that was drafted so late into the second round.
Yeah, I didn't think anybody could jump over Walker Kessler. Folks, he's a humongous Walker Kessler. This guy almost dunked over him, but I thought he was like Vince Carter over Frederick Weiss again. It's like, my God, this guy's hops are incredible.
I hear you on that. Do you hear the beeping sound, Foxy, or no?
No.
Okay, cool. For some reason, there's a truck backing up on the street. I don't understand why a truck is backing up at 9 p.m., but that's neither here nor there, as long as it's not interrupting the stream. So let's
hopefully it's a keg of beer or something.
Hopefully. Maybe there's a party on the block.
Yo.
All right, so now let's get into Obi and Jericho Sims before we wrap up. Obi, he's averaging 9.3 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, and 1.1 assists per game. Another guy averaging a 1-to-1 assist turnover ratio, and he's shooting 46.3% from the field and 38.8% from the charity line, from the 3-point line. He's shooting 90.9% from the charity stripe. So those numbers are starting to come down. At one point, he was shooting the 50%, and then from 3, he was shooting right around in the 40%. So, Foxy, how have you feel about Obi, especially over the last week or so since the last time we spoke about him?
Scaring me, just meaning it's like, yo, his 3 looks smooth. It looks smooth, and then some of his shots, they're so off. Meaning, so that scares me. It's like, was he just hot for a period? I don't mind when guys miss, but like I said, great, Wally brought it up, great shooters miss short and long. But when you're hitting sides of backboards, and it's like, whoa, what was up with that? I know guys have to get into rhythm, and he showed a nice little midi. It's those things that we just want to see the continuation of. So, but also, I think he's regressed on defense. I don't mean anything. He's played in the last 3 games. Terrible defense. I mean, terrible defense. I watched the game 2-3 times. Stop, rewind, stop. And I'm like, Jesus, man, he was terrible on that. What the hell is he doing? And if you ever notice Obi on the close-ups, when he makes a mistake, he bites his mouth guard. He goes like this. I don't know if you ever seen him do that. He starts biting his mouth guard. I think it's a nervous twitch he has.
He knows Tip is about to start screaming at him, so he's bracing for impact.
And you're right, because all the guys, they have a look on their thing like, is he bringing in a replacement? Is he subbing me out? But I could deal with, in the NBA, you're going to have a couple bad possessions. You're going to get backdoored. These are the best players in the world. It happens to everyone. But it's like low IQ plays that are bothering me. Like, what the hell were you thinking? You should know you've had enough reps already. You're in the league now a number of years where your defense should be reaching a level. I know you could jump, but every closeout he's jumping, you see him go up and out of the frame, and the guy just makes the fake. He goes out and then has an open shot. Like, why are you always leaving your feet? And today, he was so soft on rebounding. It was brutal. And what, 3 dunks he's missed in the last few games?
Were rough. I'm like, what's going on? Why is he missing these?
One
missed layup?
Like you're down by 15 and you're doing a reverse dunk. Yeah, what up with that? You know what I've brought up before, where I have respect for the game. Certain things you just don't do in that situation, or sometimes you can be too nice. I want to see some nasty, that he does facials, that he takes that damn ball and he dunks it. He's missed a couple of layups and stuff like that. It's like, dunk the damn ball. How did you just get blocked by a guard? What are you, crazy? There needs to be a level of violence. The great players have a level of violence. I'm serious. The great player. You didn't think there was an element of violence in Michael Jordan's game?
I'm a Kobe fan.
You didn't think there was a level of violence in Kobe's game?
Definitely, yeah.
He was going to take your life. He'd look at you in your eyes, Kobe. Like,
I mean, we all know the event with him and Matt Barnes, where he was staring at Matt Barnes and he couldn't break the trance.
And he did that and he didn't even blink,
Nothing.
man. Nothing. Like
me, I'd have been like,
bobbing and weaving,
right?
Hook off the jab. I was like,
hell yeah. Kobe better than me, man. You do that, you got to duck and follow up at the same time. Like, my fault, bro. You can't be playing like that.
Yeah, but you're a killer, man. If you don't even blink, man, you don't scare me. So that's why I'm saying, great players. I want to see that level of competitiveness that I've been, the guys that I said last year that I wanted to draft, they all had a big dose of nasty and athleticism. So they were unbelievably athletic and they had nasty. And there needs to be, like I said, when you put together roster construction, your team should reflect the city. New York, I love New Yorkers. They're wonderful people. Just don't mess with us. We're cool. We're gentlemen. We're ladies. But you mess with us, we'll bite your nose off. And we gotta,
No, we'll bite your ear off. And where's Tyson from? Tyson in New York? I don't know.
What?
Where's Tyson from? Where was he born and raised? I know he spent a lot of time
Brooklyn.
in New York. Yeah, see, there we go. Boom.
Yeah.
You mess with us, we bite your ear off.
But
Get your nose.
But I'm ecstatic. I was ecstatic, and I was really, really looking forward to this. I knocked his nose through his brain. It was one of my favorite punches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John Toledo says, "Damn, I miss Kobe." Man, me too, man. That's my guy.
Yeah,
got him behind me, man.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, Tyree, thank you. Brownsville. Yeah, Adele Chapman. Hope all is well with you and the family.
Appreciate
Say
that.
hi to Avery for us, the little angel.
Yep. And then we'll finish off talking about Jericho Sims. I think we've talked about him a lot for the most part, but for the season, he's averaging 4.4 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game. He's averaging a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, but even his isn't that terrible. 0.4 turnovers and 0.5 assists. He's not really passing the ball much. He's shooting 78.6% from the field, no 3-point attempts. But this is the big one. He's shooting 80% from the charity stripe. Now,
but his form looks nice.
The form looked nice last year too. So we were wondering why he was bricking. We were wondering why he wasn't taking some jump shots the way his form looked. And Tibbs even said last season that there's areas of his game that we have yet to see. So if this is how well he's playing, and we haven't even, it's just the tip of the iceberg, then I'm excited to see what Jericho Sims could be in a Knicks jersey.
Yeah, he has monster athleticism. So, folks, let's unleash the Kraken. That's my new nickname for him.
Unleash the Kraken.
And let him go. Put iHeart on the bench. Let him, like we said, let him be the 7-foot Svi on this team. Let Sims get all those minutes, man. There's a hell of a lot more upside with his athleticism and his physicality. Hey, man, if you watch a couple of games, the guys turn around and look at Sims like, Jesus Christ, is the guy strong? Oh my God. You don't get that look with iHeart. They just give the look like that guy's annoying. He's all elbows and stuff like that, but he's annoying. Jericho, they're stunned. Like, this guy jumps through the roof and he is so strong. Oh my God.
A big fan of what Sims has been doing. This is why we wanted him to get more action last year, but Tibbs will be Tibbs.
Yep, that's for sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a pretty long stream, but you guys have been, actually more people have been joining the longer and longer the stream has gone. So that's definitely uplifting. We really appreciate that. It's a loss. It's unfortunate, but at least we can come here. This is a safe space for us to chat and chop it up, talk about the game. And, we really appreciate the support. Foxy, anything you want to say before we wrap it up? We got 69 likes.
Thank you so much for your support. Thanks so much for your support. Like we said, behind the scenes, we were working on a really interesting show this Wednesday at 4 that'll give our perspective. We're putting our GM hats on, if we were Dolan, what could the Knicks do that could change the future trajectory of this team? And that's realistic. That's realistic. That would change the identity of this team. So please check us out. Like we said, we think it's thought provoking. We work awful hard to differentiate our content. So we think you're going to love this. So shout out to everyone. We really appreciate all your support. One last time, if you haven't hit that subscribe, please hit that subscribe and like. We greatly appreciate it. And hopefully the Knicks could come back against OKC tomorrow and play a good game. All we ask is effort. Just execute, effort, and go from there. But that's all we ask. And again, I'm mad at Danette and Anthony for the pork buns they were eating yesterday because I can't get them out of my head. So, but other than that, we don't speak to anyone. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. Just be safe on the roads. And again, thank you so much for your support.
Yep, thank you guys for tuning in. Like Foxy said, if you're not able to join us Wednesday, we just wanted to let you guys know happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys enjoy the spread. I know I will. Foxy, I'm not sure what you got planned for Thanksgiving, but I'm sure you'll be enjoying the turn up as well. So thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Next time, let's hope that the stream will be after a win, because it seems like the Knicks for the next 4 or 5 weeks are playing on Sunday. So we've got a lot of basketball to talk about when the stream comes up. So hopefully you guys will be there. Once again, we stream Sundays at 6:15, and we adjusted just in case, there's a game that overlaps. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate all your support, especially through what's been a pretty interesting season, to say the least. So thank you once again. I'm Keith, joined as always by my NBA analyst and co-host, Stephen Fox, and we're out.
Love you.